Just making sure I'm good at playing. Okay, I think we're live. Welcome everyone. Welcome to my guests and to everyone watching. And we're only 2 minutes late, which is a new record for me, I think. This is the Deep Space Nine stream. There will be no discussion of politics directly. I will be taking super chats, but probably not answering questions that are not related to the topic. But anyway, I should welcome my guests. It's polite. First of all, in the room with me is my husband. That's Mr. Pose. He's called on this channel. No one else in the world calls him that in real life. We also have Saffron, my friend from Twitter.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
Hey. We also have Mr. Gently Benevolent, who's joining us. What is it? 6 in the morning in Australia.
5.
5. I thought it was 5 if we started at 7. Okay, gosh. Well, thank you very much.
I'm sort of wandering off. Yeah.
Are you an early riser normally then?
Not this early.
It's just Deep Space Nine did it.
You gotta be here. I mean, you're always on the you're always a very committed viewer of the unpopular opinions, etc. You know, Fake Accents Unite, and those are usually only at 9 p.m., which means you must be, watching YouTube pretty reliably at about 6 or 7 every morning.
That doesn't require me to be conscious, though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, sending super chats certainly does. Or fairly conscious anyway. And before we start, I'd like to point out there's no other time to fit it in. I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt for the first time. I don't do
wow
thing. This is Worf as a cowboy.
Oh
Yes.
wow, that's awesome.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Does it
say Klingons?
Does it say Klingons?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
it does.
okay.
Don't let your Klingons
Klingons
grow up to be cowboys. Which is
Very
actually
cool.
a TNG reference, but yeah.
Wolf is in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, so I think that's fair. It's the only Star Trek memorabilia that we have. It's actually your shirt, so thank you for lending it to me.
I bought it from Las Vegas Star Trek thing.
A convention?
Before it closed. No, they had a whole
An exhibit
museum thing. They had Quark's Bar there.
I never knew you went to Quark's Bar. We watched 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine. You never mentioned that you went to Quark's Bar.
It wasn't like the set or anything. They had some set bits there. They had like Kirk's Wrath of Khan outfit there in a little glass jar thing. There's just like some. They had the like 9-foot TNG Galaxy class Enterprise hanging from the ceiling.
You mean the prop they used for the?
I assume it
miniature.
was. It was big. Because, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I never saw the shirt.
It was got like winding. I think they closed it down like a few months later. So it was like there for like 3 or 4 years or 5 years. But
Wow. I'm
it was
sorry, I
like
missed
winding
it.
it down. But they had like a load of t-shirts. And that was the best t-shirt I thought. Was like
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's cool that you even went. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
Okay, so we watched Deep Space Nine over the last few months. So we actually finished a while ago, but I really wanted to talk about it just because there's just a lot there, and I haven't seen that many YouTube videos about it.
I'm sure there are a few, but
Yeah, but I always thought that the Next Generation was the gold standard of Star Trek. Obviously the original series is classic. I was sort of the Next Generation is kind of the sort of the more perfected series, and then the rest of the show was then just sort of trying crazy stuff. But then we watched Deep Space Nine. I watched it for the first time this year. This year, and I thought it was brilliant. And what I really wanted to talk about is the kind of missed opportunity of it, though, because it was. I think all of the elements are there for maybe one of the best TV shows ever, all of my favorite TV shows ever. Like all of the great characters, great a few really good plot lines, like good ideas, but they kind of fumbled it in a lot of places, and I think that's just really interesting to talk about. Well, just first impressions. What do you think, Saffron?
Yeah, so I've seen Next Generation. I'm halfway through Voyager, but so far I would definitely say Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek series. I think I like it overall because I think it's one of the most challenging Star Trek series. And it's got a lot of more darker themes, which I think are a lot more interesting, and the characters are really cool. So yeah.
Cool. And Mr. Benevolent?
Yeah, I think the fact it had an overarching plot, which, as Saffron said, addressed a lot of the darker themes, really made it a lot more interesting than anything like TNG was very episodic, whereas DS9 had that long-running Dominion War plot, which is far more interesting. I think Voyager had the potential for that, particularly at the beginning when it was all about the rationing and everything else, and then it just sort of went off the chart, and suddenly they had no rationing from like transport, replicator energy or anything like that. But then, DS9 just had that longer running plot. Sorry, I'm rambling. I've just woke up.
So do you think Deep Space Nine is your favorite or one of your favorites? Star Trek wise?
Yeah, it used to be Voyager, but after I've rewatched DS9, definitely I would say it's more the favorite. I think it does go off the rails, especially towards the end, but overall, definitely the best one.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comparison to Game of Thrones. I don't know how familiar our guests are. I know you've watched the TV show and read the books, and the way that you've got all the different factions. You've got this great combination of political intrigue. You've got different species in Star Trek having their different strengths, different positions, different rivalries with each other, like different interpersonal relationships, and then that's all tied up with these really personal stories of people within the factions and between the factions.
Yeah, the nature of the show is that it's a station, so it's stationary, so they can't have aliens of the week.
Yeah.
So they're almost forced into diving deeper into any race that is on the show and reoccurring. So you get, I think that's who's Battlestar Galactica? Ron Moore. Like, his influence is obvious.
He's the writer?
He wasn't showrunner, but he was one of the big. Yeah, he was influential. I think Ira Stephen Bear was the main showrunner, or at least he's still you still see him shilling.
Of Battlestar?
No, of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay, right.
But yeah, I mean, I personally, when I rewatched it before this rewatch, I always thought the Dominion War was the strongest part. But when I rewatched it, I felt the standalone stuff was stronger, although some of the early Dominion War stuff was intriguing, but I never felt they paid it off in a very satisfying way. And they always had, there was a real combat between the show kind of wanted to be serialized, but they never committed to it. There was whole sections where the Dominion War would just be in the background, and then they'd go and play baseball.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
Yeah.
It's the last season, and all of this stuff has been building, for up to 6 seasons. And then there's just a random episode where they'll play baseball, and then a little bit more Dominion War, and then they'll have a heist episode on the holodeck.
Yeah, it was
Holosuite.
The pacing of the overarching story is really poor.
Yeah.
Especially when it should be it's okay at the start because it's just meant to be intriguing you that this big thing is coming. So it's fine that there are big gaps between arc episodes. It's kind of I'm looking forward to it. But then once the show wraps up and it's the war should be kicking in. I mean, I don't want to compare it, but Babylon 5 does it better.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be a lot of mentions of Babylon 5 in this stream.
Well, I'm just saying Babylon 5 does it in a similar way where there's lots of arc episodes, but they're spaced out. But then once stuff kicks off, it's just that's the show. It takes over the show because this is the big thing that's happening. With Deep Space Nine, they maintain that same really slow pacing of the thing up until the last 7 episodes, which is just all Dominion War. Yeah,
I've got a list. I've actually got a few lists here. Sorry, before that, just want to give Saf and Mr. Benevolent an opportunity. Have you seen Babylon 5 at all, you two?
No, I haven't, no.
Yeah, I'm going to lose nerd credit. I haven't watched it.
That's fine. We've watched it.
Yeah.
I guess that'll help you to stay on topic and tone down your references to Babylon 5.
Well,
I think just to give a quick overview, it's a very similar show on paper that actually the execution is very different,
right.
But it's a space station. There's a wormhole. There's a few elements that are just way too similar.
the creator of Babylon 5 was trying to get it made and gave it out to everyone, all the different studios. And Paramount famously took the Bible, as they call it, for shows have Bibles.
The Babylon 5 Bible.
Yeah, well, all TV shows, or at least ones, yeah, they're Bibles. They're like, yeah, it's like the guidelines for the show, the general like themes of the show, where it's going to go. Sort of like, yeah, it's like a script, but for a script for a TV, for like, yeah, it's a bigger concept thing. Anyway, he gave it out to them. They said they didn't want to make it, but then they basically did make it and just put Star Trek on it and tried to, yeah, and they had a bigger budget.
Okay, this thing about the overarching story, I get it, and it is good in places and a bit patchy in others. One of the places I think it fails is to make the world feel really consistent. It's maybe not hard to describe, so I'll just have to give my examples. But I made a list of all the things that the show forgot to bring up. So they set up these like cute little universe things. And some of them get referenced back a lot, which is really satisfying when it happens. You kind of just, that's something I know, I clapped when I saw it. But some things they just forget, and it's just a little bit jarring. So I'll just go through the list real quick fire. Jump in if you want to interrupt. First on the list is Double Strong, Double Sweet, which is O'Brien's little...
That's an obscure one.
In the first couple seasons,
yeah,
it's like Picard with the Earl Grey heart. It's almost exactly the same. O'Brien, he always orders coffee, double strong, double sweet. But then he stops doing it. And instead they all start going on about Frappuccinos. And it's just like they keep talking about it like it's something that's existed in the universe all along. And it always feels like the showrunners were trying to shoehorn in some merchandise or something, but they were trying to sell real Frappuccinos the way they can. It was like every episode they bring up their Frappuccinos, and we never heard double strong, double sweet again. I thought it was sad.
Okay.
Please tell me you put self-sealing stem bolts on this list.
Yes, that's on the list of things.
They bring that up in the last episode.
It's like all the way from season 1 to season 7. There's always a stem bolt, either self-sealing or non-self-sealing. I've got the funny story about Keiko O'Brien getting pregnant in the story, and then the actress who played Kira got pregnant in real life. And I just think it's really clever how they swapped that around so that the actress who was pregnant could be pregnant in the show, and the actress who wasn't pregnant didn't have to be pregnant by doing space magic. They transfer the baby, and that's kind of a cool plot point. It goes on for a really long time because I guess the real life pregnancy was dragged on that long.
I couldn't believe how long it went on because
it was a whole season. She was heavily pregnant.
It was over. It was over one season because it was that was why it was too long.
Yeah,
because it started midway through or towards the end of one season, and then she didn't have the baby until well into the next season. Yeah, which in real life is well over a year.
Yeah, I think they might have had some comment about Bajoran babies take longer to gestate, something like that. There was all this Bajorans sneeze when they're in, that was dumb.
Yeah, Bajorans have to be very calm to give birth.
Yeah, instead of morning sickness, Kira gets sneezes, which is just a bit too cute in my opinion. Anyway, that was something that was going on. And everything with the love triangle stuff with Odo, all of it got forgotten, just put on the table. Kira's pregnant now, that's the Kira stuff. And then we'll just pick up the stuff with Odo and never mention, not literally never, but hardly mention that Kira was once ever pregnant with Keiko and O'Brien's baby.
They bring up a bit, don't
they? They mention it a few times, but that was it. Although I did like a few of the moments, the character moments they managed to pull into that pregnancy subplot, I thought were quite cute, and they worked into the universe quite well, I think. Any opinions on that subplot, guys?
No, I was aware that Kira was pregnant in real life, but yeah.
Do you remember Ducat was he thought that it was Shakar's baby? And then she freaks him out by telling him that it's O'Brien's baby, was it? Some kind of
There was some little joke. Yeah, they played it for what they could.
Yeah. I think that was it. And yeah, so that was the list of things they just forgot to mention after that, where it just didn't feel like it was fully, because the baby's there. The baby's born. It's on the station, little Yoshi. And it's like, they mentioned it once. It's like, oh yeah, I kept that baby in my tummy for a few months. And then it's like, it's not like a plot. It's not a source of conflict for the characters. After that, it's not she doesn't have a relationship with that kid anymore.
It was what it was. It was a filming that
they had to do it.
It was like, let's find a way to keep the actress on set and not have to film her from the neck up all the time.
Yeah,
and we'll mention it as much as we need to in order to get away with it, and then we'll just move on. I don't think they ever really wanted to do anything big with it.
I think they could have done something bigger with it. But...
Well, I think that'd be a bit boring.
Next on the list, I've got Dax's personality, because I really liked Dax. And when we were watching it, I talked to you about how much I love Dax's personality. I don't know if anyone watching this has not seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I don't know why you're here if you haven't, but Dax, in the first few seasons, she's this woman she has the symbiote who has 7 lifetimes of memories in it. And it really shows in her personality, where she's not like arrogant or she's not in your face about it. She's not like really cool or really badass. She's just like self-assured. She's comfortable in her skin. She's comfortable in every situation. She's like friends with Quark.
Wasn't she smug? I mean, I don't really know.
To me, it didn't come off as smug. And then later that characterization got a little bit worse, in my opinion, especially when Worf showed up. And then her personality was wrapped up quite a lot in that, like quite a lot of petty arguments with Worf that really didn't seem in character, in my opinion.
I mean, the Worf relationship, even back when I was first watching it, I was just...
You weren't into it?
No.
I was going to say, everyone simps for Dax series. So you've got Quark, who's really into Dax, for Shia, and obviously when Worf comes in. But yeah, I don't think I necessarily find her character that interesting. I kind of felt that sort of in the middle of the series, she kind of like bored me a little bit. I didn't find her that interesting until Worf came in. And then the arc with the love story with Worf, because I'm quite a big fan of Worf from TNG. But yeah, I think. Well, I'm glad someone enjoyed it. Oh, I really wasn't into it. Oh, really? How come?
I like Worf and I liked Dax, but whenever they were together, there was always this sort of conflict that just was quite annoying to watch on screen for me. Like they seemed to be getting into arguments a lot.
Yeah,
and it was like, they really didn't seem like two people who should be together, in my opinion.
Yeah, it did seem like, I think they were going for the fact they were different, so they were attracted, but it didn't feel that,
Sorry, I was going to say there's that episode, isn't there, on Riser when they go there for a holiday, and Worf just absolutely hates it, but she's like super into it, which I think you're like totally right, because they're completely different, but also kind of similar as well. But no, I enjoyed the love story between Dax and Worf.
Yeah, that episode is pretty based.
Worf is in that episode, where he ends, because that's the one where he ends up sort of turning off everything on Riser and making it into an absolute hellhole, right?
Yeah, there's that
I just quite like that pettiness.
Ultra Federation right-wing conservatives.
Puritans, basically.
Yeah, they want to bring back like the Federation to its like roots, and everyone's they literally like say like society's degenerate, and like they make a good point. They say like, because this is like this only a few years after Star Trek 9/11, which is War 359. The Federation was almost wiped out by one Borg cube, and they lost almost all their fleet there. And now they're fighting another existential war, and you would think that there would be like a
puritanical movement.
Well, not puritanical, but some sort of reaction, some kind of reactionary movement saying that maybe the Federation should bug its ideas up and get ready to face up to threats that it doesn't know about yet.
Stop having a holiday on Riser.
Yeah. What was the things called? Jaman
Haran is the sexy times word.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the statue's called though.
Yeah, because Sorry, I was going to say Worf. Dax bumps into her old friend, doesn't she? And Worf is just like absolutely disgusted by this person, which is just pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that they kept. That was one of the things that like definitely seemed to change about Dax's personality. She started off as she explicitly wasn't looking for any romantic relationships. Like she's been through it all. She's been a mother. She's been a father.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, she's done all of that. She's really not looking for love. And then like this weird part of her personality that, for lack of a better word, was kind of slutty. Like she was like quite loose, you know. She would be flirty and like, oh, Worf, like why can't I just cuddle up with like this other guy? Like we're just friends, ha ha ha. Like I really hated her then. Like, she really shouldn't be like cuddling up with men so much when she's like married to Worf or like going out with him.
Who was she cuddling up to that time?
It was just like a random like fire dancer.
No, not that episode. There was
on Riser.
It was like when she was getting married or something. She was it was with Bashir or something like that. You mentioned it. She said like, why is he doing that? Like she literally like did like this.
It was at her own bachelorette party, and it was like in the quarters, like the day before she was getting married, and Worf's surrogate mother was like being all puritanical, like, oh, you shouldn't be marrying my son if you're like cuddling up to a random fire breathing like the entertainment that they hired to. I
mean, there was that, but she was doing it to somebody specifically, a character.
A character in the show. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I would be mad if my wife was doing that to another guy. Like, she wasn't like having sex with him, but it was really like quite like familiar the way she was acting. And like the day before her wedding, it wasn't. But the show didn't acknowledge that at all. It was all like, you know,
the show was on her side,
like unambiguously. Yeah, it was like, oh, Worf. It wasn't Worf who was even upset about it. It was Worf's mother person. Anyway, call me a prude, but I didn't like that side of Dax's personality at all.
Yeah, Worf is very trad-pilled.
Yeah. I mean, it's so sweet. Even in TNG, he has this Klingon. I mean, you call it religion. The Klingon culture is that if you have sex, you should be married, or you should get married afterwards. And then, like, all the women he ever gets with are like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to marry you. I just want to have sex with you.
His first
wife. First girlfriend.
Yeah. The one he has Alexander with.
Yeah. Alexander.
She's like, sister.
Yeah. Like, ooh, I don't have to get married to you. Like, I'll raise this baby on my own.
And she gets killed.
Yep.
That's what happens.
But Alexander isn't even in this show, so.
He is.
Yeah, he's a bit, but the fact that he wasn't in it was such a relief. I thought when Worf showed up, it would be like Alexander, the TV show. Oh, he's going to be friends with Jake Sisko. I don't know. Lame. I'm glad he wasn't in it. We also had a similar kind of thing happening with Rom, but in a kind of opposite direction, where Rom, who is a Ferengi, he starts off being very Ferengi. Like, that's kind of his only personality trait, and then they develop his personality.
In the pilot episode, there's a blink and you'll miss it 3-second bit where Rom acts like a traditional season 1 of TNG Ferengi.
Like a nasty Ferengi.
Yeah, he is like that, but you like barely even like in the show. And then he comes back and he's dumb.
He's dumb.
And then they decide he's a genius.
No, he becomes nicer as well. He becomes nice first, and then because he's such a nice guy, it feels bad to be bagging on him for being dumb all the time, so he becomes a bit smarter as well.
Really a bit smarter, he becomes a genius.
Yeah, like in certain...
He creates self-replicating...
I forgot that was him.
Self-replicating minds that stop the Dominion invading the Federation.
Yeah, you're right.
They completely block the entire Dominion for like 6 months, in time for the Federation to get there.
He becomes a bit OP, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if he does anything other than that, but...
I didn't think it was a problem. It just doesn't feel like you're watching the same character anymore, which kind of just breaks that world building that I'm talking about.
I think it's okay, because it's not as if you knew exactly what Rom's in and outs were. So I can forgive that.
Season one Rom forbids his son from doing his homework because doing homework is not Ferengi, and you don't need to doesn't think he should be in school, doesn't think he should be friends with Umans. Remember that?
Yeah, well, Rom's arc, like to Steelman, like his character transformation is that he's really dumb and bad at being a traditional Ferengi.
Yeah.
Once he realizes that he's no good at being a Ferengi and he wants to be an engineer, he's good at that, but he's always tried to be doing the other thing.
Yeah, good point.
And then he's amazing at that.
Yeah. It's very
So like he was a genius before, but he wasn't trying to do the thing that he was good at.
it's kind of the non-essentialist character. I mean, the essentialism being the sort of philosophical concept that what you are defines like who you are and how you act and how others should treat you. So the idea that Rom is like a Ferengi, but he's not like on the inside, just because he's a Ferengi doesn't mean he can't be X, Y, and Z. And then I guess that's his character arc, but it is a little bit cringe. I mean, the only Ferengi that we see in the show are very not Ferengi, like Quark being the most Ferengi.
Yeah, we didn't read out the super chat.
Yeah, did it matter?
They paid money.
Okay. No, I didn't know if it was relevant. I didn't mean did it matter. That was the wrong thing to say.
It was at the top, and I thought it would stay there forever, but it just.
Goldie Cart did nothing wrong. Agreed. We'll definitely get onto Goldie Cart. That's maybe not on my continuity list, although actually his character. Oh, there we go. It's right under this actually. We're about to come onto it. Ducat's personality is my third personality triad. Was another thing that they forgot about. Because Goldie Cart was. He was kind of like the Tyrion Lannister of. No, sorry, not Tyrion. Who's the father? Who's Tyrion's dad? He was a Tywin Lannister of this show, where he was like really, really mean and like kind of charming, and like painted to be like a villain's villain.
I mean, he runs through like the whole gamut of different types of villain throughout the entire show.
True. But yeah, I always enjoyed him until like the last few seasons where they dropped any complexity to his character and they just made him racist against Bajorans, with also a weird fetish for Bajoran women.
Well, he always had that.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, they took away the complexity and like just made him bad. He's just a bad man, because that's the kind of simplicity they needed to wrap up the show, I guess.
I don't think it was that. It's just like it was like he should have died. Or just moved out of the show. But he was such a popular character that they wanted to keep doing something with him.
He had to die a second death.
So what do you do with him when the last thing that happened with him was that he was driven insane by his daughter dying in front of him? And him losing the universe. Like he was going to be like in charge of the Alpha Quadrant or whatever. And he lost it all in one day, and he drove him insane. Like that's the ending. Oh no, we want to keep using him. Oh, okay, so he's insane. What would an insane Goldie Cart want to do? Kill all Bajorans?
Yeah, exactly.
Like how would he do it?
But he never he always took pride in not wanting to kill Bajorans before. That's the thing is, they
had that old episode where he's like he has a revelation where he realizes that actually he should have killed all Bajorans from the beginning. Yeah,
that was really the start of his decline. I should say that was when I was sure that this character was ruined. Was when he's like come out as like fully racist.
I don't know, they could have done something good with it, but I don't think they did.
I think the stumbling blocks were there a lot long before that, though, where there was the peak of Goldie Cart was the episode where he and Kira steal the Klingon warbird, and I didn't want Kira to leave the show and get like her own spin-off with Ducat or anything. I mean, yes, I did, but I'm not asking for that. I just would have liked it if he became like who are the in Game of Thrones? There's the men without banners. I wanted him to become a renegade without allegiance. Yeah, I wanted him to become Robin Hood, and it's like he'd turn up sometimes and like, oh, I'm good, but am I? Question mark. I've changed. Oh, have I?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, maybe if they'd carried on with that for a whole season, it would have got boring and played out.
Oh, anyway, you're a fan of Ducat, Saffron?
Yeah, I love Ducat. He's one of my favorite characters. I kind of feel like he's got like some weird schizophrenia going on though, because he's like completely delusional about a lot of the character that he sorts of plays with, like the Bajoran occupation. He's like sometimes a good guy, sometimes a bad guy, but like he's like super charming and stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously like he goes in like this massive decline because there's that episode. I've got it written down somewhere. It's the one with Cisco. Is it Waltz? Yeah, that's it. And
The one
Yeah, is that the one where he's talking to people that aren't there?
yeah, he's literally like schizophrenic.
yeah,
See?
literally, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I think he's definitely one of the more interesting characters of the show. And obviously the relationship he has with Kira as well is kind of fun in it, and with his daughter. But he's definitely a charming character. I kind of have a little weird crush on Ducat.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I definitely I was shipping Hero with Ducat hard.
Well, you know, don't you? But the writers did want to have Kira to have some kind of relationship with Ducat, but the actress point blank refused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want them to be together. I wanted them to be like a Sam and Diane, you know, always at each other's throats kind of relationship. You know, do they hate each other or not?
Yeah, but they were clearly steering towards that with the on the Bird of Prey era.
Yeah, that was the closest they ever came. And then after that, it seemed like he was a lech and she was like 100% not up for it. Where I felt like she was like 5% up for it before.
Yeah, she was a little bit up for it before, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Benevolent, any you like to cut?
Oh, Ducat's brilliant, but there's one other part of that arc that he goes through where he wants to lead the Alpha Quadrant, and then before he gets to kill all the Bajorans, he becomes, I want to be the prophet for the Bajorans.
Oh yeah.
He sets up his own cult on Terrak Nor.
Yeah. Not Terrak Nor, the other Terrak. Empok Nor.
Empok Nor.
Yes, yeah.
Don't want to get them wrong.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a completely different space station, by the way. I can't believe they built up the exact same set twice.
Yeah, no, Saffron hasn't seen those episodes, but those were good. Yeah, if you've seen the episodes, you know what we're talking about. We'll say the baby. That was epic. That was the best part of his character after the decline.
Please wait in the air ducts. The
airlock.
Yeah, please wait in the airlock for a second while I leave.
No, don't leave. Just say that. I'll be back in just a minute. Yeah.
But then to go on the end of that arc, I know you haven't seen the last one, Saffron, but he goes from wanting to kill all the Bajorans to literally being a Bajoran devil. It's like, how far can we push this character now?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He's like totally got some like delusional, weird split personality disorder going on, I think.
Next on my list of, we're only halfway through this list of continuity things that I forgot about. Keiko, remember Keiko O'Brien? In the first season, she was a teacher. And that I felt like that was her settling in because she was in TNG. She was set up as a character. And then they brought her on to Deep Space Nine, the show and the station. And they didn't know what to do with her. And then she was going to be the teacher because Cisco has a son and his son has a friendly friend. And there are a few other children there. It kind of felt like that was going to be her role. We're going to have hijinks with Jake Sisko and Nog. And, other kids are going to be there. And she's going to be the school teacher.
Well, they had the first season, they had a whole arc with it was like teaching evolution.
Yeah,
thing.
It wasn't very subtle.
Yeah, it was like the Kai Wynn, or she wasn't Kai then, was like, oh, you got to teach Bajoran religious things, and Keiko didn't want to, and then they blew up the school. Anyway,
forget all that because Keiko didn't want to be a teacher or something, and then Jake Sisko grew up too fast, so it didn't make sense for him to be at school anymore. And forget the school thing. Never mention it again. Oh, she was a teacher. Forget it. Doesn't matter anymore.
She was a botanist on so she became a botanist.
Either way,
she went on very long holidays away and then came back pregnant.
O'Brien wasn't suspicious there.
Yeah, he's too busy with Julian.
Yeah. Anything on Keiko, you guys? Jenny Benevolent, you
Keiko fan.
You Keiko fan?
Top 5 character.
Oh yeah, definitely top 5 character. The only thing what Keiko just makes me realize how unlucky O'Brien is. The show feels like whenever they want to dump jump on somebody, it's O'Brien, and he goes through like so many hardships through this show, and I'm just starting to feel sorry for Miles, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the memes I was aware of beforehand. And once you're looking out for it, you really see how many times he suffers. And then even in episodes that are just normal, Keiko is like not a great wife. I mean, she's just a bit of a nag.
Yeah, they never make it explicit like she's a bad wife or he doesn't like her.
Yeah.
Whenever he's explicit about it, he always says that he loves her.
Yeah, you kind of believe it, but it's just.
And just spends a suspicious amount of time with Julian.
Right, yeah, that was one of the continuity things I really liked that I was going to bring up later. And also Miles in general, one of my favorite characters. Brilliant.
Yeah, O'Brien is a really great character. I love the episode Hard Time, where he has those memories implanted in him.
Right.
That one is such a dark episode. It's a really, really good episode. I think that's probably in my top 3.
Yeah. That's definitely one of my favorite episodes.
But it is like the epitome of his suffering. It's like,
well, yeah, he attempts suicide.
Yeah,
he literally puts the phaser on full blast, puts it in his mouth, and he's about to incinerate his head. You
remember, since we're on the topic, I love this topic so much. Thinking about all the times that Miles suffered. Remember when he had a double that they created a clone of him that was running around the space station?
Oh yeah,
that's what was going on. And then Miles turns up. The real Miles turns up at the end and watches himself die and say, like, "I love tell Keiko I love her." It's so dark.
Yeah, he's a fun character. There's another one. Oh God, I've written it down somewhere. It's the one where he goes undercover to find the infiltrator from the Orion Syndicate. Is it?
Orion Syndicate.
Orion Syndicate, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. That was a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, and his best friend in that episode died as well.
Yeah.
he took care of his cat. That was
It's a dog.
A dog?
It's a dog, wasn't it?
I don't know now.
Pretty sure it was a little dog.
Either way, it was like he makes friends with someone. That guy's dead.
You find out, and then you find out like it's not. But there's the last Orion episode with the other Dax. You find out that the wife of that guy, that was his friend, was killed by the Orion Syndicate off screen.
Yeah.
One of the first suffering episodes for O'Brien is when he gets that genetic engineered disease on that planet and goes blind.
I don't remember him going blind.
It's the first episode where Julian, because on that episode Julian and Finny don't like each other.
Yeah,
that's the state of their relationship. But
oh yeah, and he has to teach Julian how to do the engineering, and they kind of bond a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
Yeah. The thing about O'Brien is that he was such a nobody in TNG, and then you see him turn up in Deep Space Nine. You're like, that guy. Like, I want to watch a show with that guy. Like, he's a main character, but he's such a breakout star. Yeah. And he's such a he looks like a potato. I know it's such a stereotypical thing to say about an Irish guy, but he's not like a pretty man. But he's so like adorable, and he the fact that he rolls his sleeves up, just like he's the only character who doesn't wear his uniform, like even just that tiny like effect. It's just so like lovable, and I loved him.
I mean, they literally retconned the entire Federation chain of command in order to have O'Brien in it, Deep Space Nine.
Because he's not like Starfleet. He's not an officer.
He's an NCO, but Gene Roddenberry wanted everyone to be an officer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in TNG, he's got an ensign or whatever he is, lieutenant thing. But they completely retcon that and have it so that there are actually NCOs in Starfleet.
Okay. I mean, to me, that doesn't mean much. I mean, I know that he'd always call everyone else sir, which was one of his like character things, because he was like the lowest of the low almost.
Yeah, well, all officers are higher ranked than
NCOs.
NCO is like the highest rank of
the king of the nobodies.
No, it's like if you're a really good private soldier, you can rise up in the ranks to being like the highest you can go is like Master Chief. It depends on the way. I'm not a huge expert, but like you get up to the stage of being like a really good like solid worker. You becomes like Master Chief or whatever.
Mm.
That's what.
Is that what says called Chief?
Yeah.
Chief O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's literally Master Chief, but he's like the Marines, I think. But he's like a very competent working guy. That he is still a nobody. but like I think the interesting background, like you get to watch this blank thing interact with like these extreme situations, and like his reaction to them is interesting because of that.
Well, while we're on the topic, I think you're right. He's much more like grounded, normal character. Like he's not this like perfect Starfleet future like Roddenberry like Superman. He is like a kind of normal, and the engineering he does, it's not like Geordie LaForge going like, oh, I have to recalibrate the warp engine. It's like he's like very much like, you know, like I said, but his sleeves rolled up says so much about him. He's like, he's down in there, he's fixing people's
the toilets are backed up.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like being an engineer on Deep Space Nine for that character is like so different from what it meant on TNG, and the difference reflects the difference in the shows, the difference in the settings. It's like he makes so much more sense in the setting with that character. It's emblematic of the setting. It just works so well. Sorry, Jenny Benevolent, did you contribute about your thoughts on Miles? You liked him, right?
I think I was the one that started mentioning how many hardships he goes through.
Oh yes, I do remember. Yeah, okay. Just making sure you don't feel left out.
He just has an interesting career path as well, considering on TNG he literally was just the transporter chief and nothing else.
Yeah, he
and
just
I'm not entirely sure how
he just stood in that room all day.
Was he a helmsman on one of the episodes?
I think he was in a shuttle like once or twice. Was he? No, I don't know.
I'm sure we could look it up on Memory Alpha.
Remember when?
I don't think he ever left that room.
Yeah. Do you remember when he's sucking up to Picard and says that he built? Picard says like, "Oh, what's the matter with you guys? You never build ships in bottles." And like, he's not even talking directly to O'Brien. And O'Brien's just standing there at the console. And he goes, "I built a ship in a bottle, sir." It's awkward.
That was the point his career went on a trajectory.
So we got transferred to Deep Space Nine.
So cringe.
Well, he suffered in TNG as well, because there was the episode where his wife becomes 12.
No one suffers like that. All right, the less said about that, the better, I think. Next on the list is the brain, which I guess is just more of a missed opportunity than a continuity mistake error.
They certainly don't miss an opportunity to describe cold things as being like a brain something.
It's like a chilled brain winter. Yeah. The brain. You probably, if you haven't seen the show in a while, you might not even remember that there's these aliens who are they're fully suited up whenever you see them.
They're dressed up as Princess Leia from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. So that scene where in Star Wars, where Princess Leia is in disguise to save Han Solo.
Mm-hmm. You got all
she looks just like the brain looked just like that, with like the beige and the like breathing apparatus mask.
Yeah, the big like goggles.
Yeah. And every time they were on screen, we always made the "someone that loves you" joke.
Yeah.
It was and there was the first time you see, other than all the mentions of the brain, the first time we see a brain is pretty epic because they don't have the translator doesn't work or something, and they're in a cell with on the Jem'Hadar ship or space. No,
that isn't the first time. The first time you see the brain is in the episode where Gul Dukat's daughter is being rescued.
Okay.
Because the brain are the ones that are holding Gul Dukat's daughter.
I don't remember that. But anyway, I was just going to talk about how cool that brain was. Because they're just in the cell. They can't talk to anyone. They might be able to understand what's going on, I guess.
They just don't talk.
But they're all imprisoned by the Jem'Hadar, and they're trying to escape.
Yeah, they're all people that have been replicated or whatever.
Yeah.
Shapeshifted. Garak
is there. Worf is there. Who else is there? Julian?
Yeah, that's the big. I mean, that's one of the cool. That's one of the biggest missed opportunities I thought. Was that's an amazing bit where you get Garak and who is it?
Worf.
Is it Worf?
Julian.
Yes,
Worf is
there. Yeah. Garak and Worf get captured by the Jem'Hadar, and like you think, the capture's going to they're going to escape or whatever, but they get brought in. And you see like, they've got old thingy in there. Martok's there. This is like they're keeping all the people that have been thingied here, and like they're in there for like half the episode, and then there's some other people talk about thinking that the guy's getting out of solitary confinement. You think okay, whatever, and then like blah 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 comes in, uncapes, and it's Julian, and you realise Julian has been a shapeshifter for all this time.
Yeah,
Like that's amazing.
yeah.
But then, like, you actually find out it was like 1 or 2 episodes previous.
Yeah, he was the one who prescribed Odo the prune juice because you had constipation. Yeah, no, that it's there's nothing interesting about that revelation except that you now know that it's possible for that to happen.
But it was interesting until you find out that it was only a few. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, for the last 2 years it's been
Yeah,
a different Julian, and like all these things that have gone wrong on the station were down to it's just it was just a few episodes. It's a cool moment though. They could have if they'd set it up a bit more, it would have been quite cool.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the whole thing about the continuity is that it doesn't seem like it was written beforehand. They were kind of making it up as they went along,
Yeah, they did.
and you can tell. Whereas I think it could have been really great. All these moments, would have hit home a lot better if it had been planned out beforehand with some clever forethought.
Well, that's where Babylon 5
Yeah.
beats it out, because they do all the stuff that happens is planned out ahead and it's foreshadowed nicely and paid off well. In Deep Space Nine, it is a bit sort of like seat your pants, sort of like rule of cool kind of thing. Like, we'd do something cool with Descartes, and sometimes it's cool, and then other times it's just kind of lame.
Okay, maybe this is a good time to bring up the super chat some poor guy sent over half an hour ago. Deep Space Nine is good, but Babylon 5 is better. I see Deep Space Nine as a poor man's version of B5, Babylon 5. Gul Dukat is the best character about Deep Space Nine. John Newcomb Sheridan is my favorite in Babylon 5. I always enjoy your vids, Poe. Keep them up. Thank you very much, the English loyalist. Sheridan, I understand the nuking meme.
Yes.
I've watched the show, and yeah, he is good. And yeah, obviously Gul Dukat, we talked about him. He's great. All I wanted to say about the brain, and we'll come back to Julian and the shapeshifter thing, because I know Saffron and Jenny Benevolent will try to say something about it. They'd like to say something, I should say. But all I wanted to say about the brain is that brain who was in the jail cell with them, they sacrificed their life for the rest of the guys in the cell, who, for all we know, he couldn't even understand them. We don't know. Like, they weren't friends. They never knew each other beforehand. But this guy, he jumped in front of the Jem'Hadar when he's shooting his phaser, or with his knife.
I don't think he was trying to kill himself. I think he just got killed.
Well, yeah, or he took the risk at least. He didn't try to die, but he was on board, and I really liked that moment. It was like that brain, whatever the rest of the brain are up to, I don't care.
Not all brain.
Hashtag not all brain. I just thought it was cool. It was a really cool moment. Like, oh my god, that guy, he was just in the background and he just died, and now these guys are going to escape. It was great. And then the brain, they just became like no one.
Well, they tried to.
They made them like a big plot point, but they didn't make it. They didn't do anything interesting with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was towards the end of the show. That's the problem with Deep Space Nine. It peaks at the point where the Dominion take over Deep Space Nine, and then the Federation take it back.
Yeah.
After that point, the show feels like the threat has de-escalated in a big way, and the writers knew that, so they tried to re-escalate the war constantly. And like the Breen were one of the big ways they tried to do that, because the Breen had like super weapons that were undefeatable for 3 episodes.
I didn't believe it though. It was like they established the Jem'Hadar as a threat because you'd seen them, and it was like, but it was just like some exposition about the Breen that was supposed to make them.
It was like
scary.
Star Wars Episode 9. It was like they had to they've got a thing. They have to do this. They have to set up this bad guy, introduce the bad guy, but then it's the end of the show, so they've got to defeat the bad guy.
Yeah.
So there's kind of this huge rush to introduce something, only for it, and they can't have it be bad for too long because they've got to defeat it, and they defeat it, and then the show's over.
Any thoughts about the Breen? Actually, my next one on the list is the imposter problem. So we'll talk about Julian being an imposter, the changeling thing, in a second, but just want to wrap up the Breen point. Any thoughts on the Breen, you guys?
I just think they're a really missed opportunity. So one of the things I really loved about DS9 was how much it built on a lot of the different cultures. Like the whole Ferengi culture was built in DS9. You touched on different aspects of Vulcans, like you had the the guy who went a bit mental because people weren't logical enough and started sniping. And DS9 as a whole built a lot more on like Cardassian culture, Ferengi culture, and the Breen, it was just nothing.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect summary of what I was thinking.
Yeah, actually, Deep Space Nine is where they start treating, or they introduce the concept of Vulcans being arseholes, which they really develop in Enterprise.
Yeah, good point.
You ever seen Enterprise? Don't pretend.
Look, I know that Vulcans are assholes, and that guy with the baseball game was like way too uptight about baseball.
He still beat them, though, didn't he?
Yeah, and he didn't understand why they were happy in the end because he's too logical. Okay.
But I also agree that the Breen threat was just passed over too quickly. It's like they've got a super weapon, and suddenly one bird of prey has a dodgy engine, and that completely, overcomes that Breen weapon. We'll just upgrade all birds of prey to have dodgy engines.
I'm glad you were paying attention because it was so insignificant. I actually don't remember.
Oh, I think it's one line at the end of like one episode, and it's just I think it's 1 or 2 episodes after they even introduce it. So the threat is overcome within 3 episodes.
Yeah. Getting back to the what I thought was a really good part of the show, like you said before, they started de-escalating things weirdly. Was this imposter problem? The Among Us. There was an actual episode that was weirdly like Among Us that we were watching when the game Among Us was becoming popular, where they're on the space station, people are getting like killed off or injured, and the changeling could be anyone, and they could change from one person to another off camera.
Yeah, it was an excellent sort of like body snatcher type thing to introduce to the into the show.
Yeah,
and they kept it going, and then they
didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It was weird. There was a few episodes like that. On Earth, they were looking for the 2 or more changelings who were on Earth for a couple of episodes.
Well, that was the whole that was one of the coolest scenes in that whole thing is when Miles O'Brien comes up to Cisco, and he's acting a bit camp and weird, and like he just starts talking, like you realize he's a changeling.
He's not even pretending. He looks like O'Brien, but he's not even pretending to be O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's just coming up to Cisco like in this shell to talk to him.
Yeah,
it's just creepy.
He just says like, how many things do you think there are on the Earth? Oh, there are 6. Yeah, he just like comes out and says, like you don't know if he's lying or not, but it's
yeah.
It's a very like compelling scene there with like O'Brien. The fact that he's willing just to go up and stand next to Cisco and just talk to him is like it's a kind of like it's intimidating in and of itself. Like they're so unafraid of the Federation ability to counteract their shapeshifting ability that they'll just walk up and just spew out their plans and be completely honest to Cisco.
And just turn to a seagull and fly away. Epic. The thing about the changelings, they're really, really OP at first because they can be anyone, they can look like anyone. They walk into a boardroom and just sabotage it, subtly influence things, whatever. And then they suddenly become underpowered because you can take like a 5-second blood test to find out who's a changeling.
Well, they say that doesn't work. I mean, they don't even underpower their ability or anything. They never. I mean, that would be something if they said, "Oh, they found this magic crystal," and
like one tiny thing that helps.
The magic crystal in his room, then the changeling gets exposed. They never did that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the changeling disease, but that was they never tied the fact that people weren't changelings weren't kidnapping people anymore to the changeling disease. They kind of stopped being changelings, and then like a year later, they introduced the idea of like this changeling disease.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I mean, I don't even think of the last season as being canon almost because they introduced so many weird new ideas and dropped so many other good ideas.
Was that only introduced at the end of the last season?
The disease, I think, was only in the last season.
It feels like a much bigger part of the show, like when I think back on it, but that's true of a lot of stuff. You don't realize that guy doesn't even turn up until Martok doesn't even turn up until way past halfway point of the show.
True. We were just talking about how the show at the start is very different in a lot of ways to the show at the end. If you go back after watching the whole show back to season 1, episode 1, everyone looks different. Like the sets look different, and the actual pacing of the story is very different. Any thoughts on the imposter problem, as I've called it here, the trust no one philosophy of the of the first few, well, not first few seasons, but there's few seasons in the middle, a sweet spot where they really had a problem with imposters, changelings.
Yeah, it was around season 4 or 5, I think.
Hmm.
The changelings were actively replacing people, and they had problems related to that.
So, Saffron?
Yeah, I think it's just what you guys said. You were just sort of like waiting for anyone to be a changeling. But I really like the one where they is it General Markov they think is a changeling, or it's Gowron.
Yeah.
Gowron.
I really
Yes,
like that episode.
Thing.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's the cliffhanger at the end of the season, and Odo comes back and he's turned into a human, and he's like looking at the screen and goes like, "Oh, they were trying to hide something from me in the Great Link," and goes like, "Oh."
He sees the screen. Yeah.
Gowron, the head of the Klingon Empire, is a changeling, and like that. But it turns out, I think that was a retcon, to be honest. I think they to keep it interesting, they had it so that they went on an undercover mission there, and then you think like Gowron's they're trying to. They have to triangulate those things. Do you remember that lane? They had to stick.
Yeah, they all had to shine it all at once or something from the like beams. They just randomly like put this little device. They just balanced it on.
Do you guys remember that scene where they have to go to a drinking party?
Yeah.
That was jokes.
They have to go to a drinking party and get drunk, but they've taken anti-drunk pills so they can't get drunk. And then they have to set up, triangulate the things, and then like other Klingons are going like, "Do I know you?" And
they have to bluff their way through.
Yeah,
this,
Brian's dressed as a Klingon.
Yeah, Odo's a Klingon.
It's a weird, like, serious joke episode.
It's self-serious. That's the thing. Like, it's just funny to watch, but it's not like written as comedy.
I think it's written as it's definitely written as comedy. The fact that they're like O'Brien's dressed as a Klingon.
I mean, they're blacked up. Let's just say it. Why is O'Brien on that villain? It's so dumb.
It's the engineer's dumb.
It's just so funny to me that the prop that they designed for the little triangulation laser thing, like I seem to remember, is not even like sticky. Like there's no adhesive or anything. It's just like balanced. They're just like putting it down and like hoping it stays there. It's just a little bit. It's like all a little bit goofy, but like played mostly serious. I think. Well, that's how I remember it anyway.
Well, like I say, it's a weird mix. There's like clearly goofy bits in there, but it's meant to be quite serious and like they've
got those big barrels and they're just like dipping their cups in. Like I love that Klingon culture
blood
stuff.
wine.
Yeah, I mean, just like Jenny Benevolent was saying, like even the Klingons were developed a lot. And just like a random side note, I don't want to get to the end of the stream before mentioning that scene where Quark confuses all the Klingons by talking like taxes and I mean he's doing the accounting to confuse the Klingons so that they just give up. They're about to kill him, and then he's like, "Oh, but what about the 10% deductible?" And they're like, "Ah!"
You're confusing the two bits.
Oh, really?
There's the bit where Quark goes up to Gowron and tries to explain the accounting irregularities from House whatever it is.
House of Quark.
Yeah, it's now the House of Quark.
Yeah.
That's why he married her.
Yeah.
And then there's the bit where he has to fight to marry the woman, or whatever it is, and the other guy's fighting him, and he just cowers.
He's so pathetic that he's not worth killing.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think there's another bit as well. There's a second bit because then later on he has to fight again, and his plan is to cower again, but he can't cower again. He has to. Oh yeah, that's a lame episode actually. Remember, Worf has to put on a special suit so he can control
VR.
It's a VR control Quark to fight in the battle. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
That was the start of the Jadzia Worf ship. It was like a kind of Midsummer Night's Dream thing where it's like a love square pentagon thing. It was lame.
Yeah, see, because Worf loves her, but she can't love him because he's dishonored. But Quark loves her. But she won't love Quark because he's not Klingon enough. Yeah. So
Klingon is teaching. Sorry, Worf is teaching Quark how to be Klingon, and Jadzia is helping Worf to win the heart of. And it's all very Shakespearean and not. It just falls flat. lame, in my opinion. That was all a big tangent for us talking about. I just wanted to come back to this. Odo sees Gowron on the TV. He says, that guy is a changeling. And then they find out, they try and kill Gowron with the changeling killer laser. And he's like, I'm not a changeling. And then it's Martok who's the changeling. And like, they should have had a moment that Odo's like, no, not him. Oh, it was that guy. That was it. Like, he was just wrong. You saw a Klingon on the TV and he's like, definitely him. Oh shit, not him. It was actually Martok.
Should be Odo just racist and can't tell the difference between Klingons.
Right? Yeah, the next one, Tetrasol White.
No, Polly.
What?
It's not Tetrasol White.
What is it?
It's Ketracel White.
Ketracel White?
Ketracel White.
Oh, I swear I thought they were saying Tetrasol every time.
Well,
No, it's definitely
Well, you guys-
Ketracel.
Yeah.
All right. I must admit, yeah. Well, you know, since we're talking about Babylon 5, for ages I thought they were called, what is it? Is it Mimbari or Nimbari? Because I got it wrong.
Mimbari.
I always thought they were called Nimbari
Well,
with an N.
which means you're dumb.
Yeah, I know. I heard that wrong every time they said it, and then I think I was talking to you.
Fun fact is actually that Mimbari is actually the name for the pulpit that Muslim things speak from.
That is interesting. The more you know. Ketracel White. I've even corrected it on my little notes here. That was like that was the one weakness not the changelings had, but the Jem'Hadar. It was like the lysine
from Jurassic Park.
dependency in Jurassic Park.
The book.
The book. I think they paid lip service to it in the film.
Yeah.
But the Jem'Hadar were reliant on Ketracel White, and they were like heavily addicted to it, so they would go insane if they didn't have it.
Insane then die.
And then they were talking about strategically, oh, this is where they're producing the Ketracel White. Like they don't, without Ketracel White, all of the Changelings' army will die out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was like it's like the Game of Thrones thing I'm talking about. It's like having like a White Walker killer. Yeah, it's like having a legendary sword or something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
something
it's logistics are interesting. If
Yeah.
you're a nerd.
strategy, tactics.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like as dull as having like an oil field in World War II. It's like a little bit more spicy than that. Like the stakes are clear. Like I understand that they keep going on about the Ketracel White. They could have made it like a big plot point.
Well, poetically as well, it's kind of hosted by Aaron Petard.
Yeah, because they bred in the dependency,
Yeah.
just like the
So if they were
Jurassic Park.
if they were defeated by the fact the dependency that they engineered into the Jem'Hadar, then yeah, it's nice and poetic. But they do stuff with the Ketracel White, but it's not. It doesn't really. They don't. It doesn't call the end. That doesn't win the Dominion War.
Yeah, because it's just one of those things that you can have. The changelings are going to win. They're going to win the Dominion War. Like the Jem'Hadar, they're all over us. Like there's no way we can win. And then it's just one of those things that can turn the tide, where you can have a great moment of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite of the minefield. The first time they take the station, it's where they've got an ace up their sleeve.
Yeah, it's like when they throw the ring into Mount Doom.
Yeah,
Like
you understand the stakes, and you know it's huge.
Yeah,
it
like-
makes all the difference.
Mordor's completely winning. They've got no chance of beating them, but because Sauron overlooked the hobbits and the idea that they would destroy the ring, it's his undoing, and he loses just as he's about to win.
Yes, exactly.
Just like Star Wars, that also has a sudden reversal
Yeah,
where
yeah.
their hubris causes them to be thinking about the one weakness they have. It's an exciting dramatic technique to sort of like. It involves quite a lot of logistics. You've got to like set up the fact that these people would be, that there is a weakness, and that they would be not aware of it or not fully cognizant of their actions of it, and also that the good guys can get aware of it and could exploit it.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Ketracel White other than the pronunciation and spelling of it, guys?
Yeah, you also have a rebellious streak with the Jem'Hadar, don't you? There's a few episodes. There's the one where Bashir and O'Brien crash land on that planet, and Bashir, they ask Bashir to sort of help them overcome their addiction or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you've also
You've
got
got-
the one with Cisco, where he sort of like weirdly befriends the Jem'Hadar captain in like a weird way. But I kind of enjoy that it kind of portrays that sort of side to them. I kind of think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's another one that is just another lost opportunity where they.
Yeah, thinking on it right now, it's amazing that they didn't do more with it, because they do set up that the Jem'Hadar are rebellious to some extent, and like they kill Jeffrey Combs.
Oh my God, I can't believe we got this long without talking about Jeffrey Combs. What's his character's name?
Wei Yun.
Wei Yun. Bloody Wei Yun, I love him.
They kill Wei Yun. They got that the Rocks and Shoals episode where the Jem'Hadar are betrayed by the Vorta, and like that first episode that you see where they're trying to cure them of the Ketch So White dependency. They set all that stuff up, but they don't. And they even set up that the fact that they can breed a Jem'Hadar really quickly is a big sort of like key point in beating the Alpha Quadrant. They go like, every time we fight, we lose Klingons, but they can regrow their Jem'Hadar. Like, there's no way. It's a war of attrition. We can't win it because they've got this trump card. They can just breed Jem'Hadar.
And remember they talked to that guy and he's like, I'm 3 weeks old or something?
Yeah. But they don't, like, that could have been the part of the payoff at the end. And go like, the Jem'Hadar rebel, but it's just the Cardassians, which is fine.
Yeah. Mr. Benevolent?
Oh yeah, I agree with you there. I think they just didn't do enough with it. So it was, like a turning point in the war potentially if they take out the Ketracel White production facilities, which they do at one point, but then within the space of 2 or 3 episodes, they've found a new source of it, or I can't remember exactly what it is there. But I think the interesting part there is that with the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta relationship, like they absolutely hate each other, and you do have that rebellious element, which doesn't go anywhere. But yet, although the Jem'Hadar know they're nothing but essentially chaff, they still have that weird
The loyalty. The obedience is victory.
Yeah, they kind of square, like they hate the Vorta, but they love the
founders.
The founders, which is like, again, that's a really nice like world building thing. It's like really cool that they hate the people that are directly the middle management, but they love the upper management.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot more they could have done with it. They like do some cool stuff with it, but it's considering sort of the damp squib of the ending, it's a pity that they didn't tie that stuff in.
Yeah, and that's why it annoyed me so much that they brought the Breen in, because they had so many good elements already, and then the Breen were just like brought in the last minute.
They weren't quite, because they set them up almost halfway through the show. They're talking about the Breen.
The Breen winter, you mean?
Yeah.
They're talking about the planet's
You
cold.
see them in the background. Yeah, I mean, that's a weird thing. They kind of, it's not good. It's set up for nothing. It's like just mentioning this like
stem bolts.
It's like the Jem'Hadar are set up in that like you find out like where their relationship is with the Vorta, and that they love the things, and that they're like brought up fast. They set up that stuff, but they also set up the Breen. But it's not clever. They just mention the Breen, and that the Breen are cold over and over and over again.
Yeah. That cold episode with Quark and Odo, that's not on Breen, is it?
No.
And they climb an icy mountain together? That was
a good episode, yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it because it doesn't really tie in with the plot at all, but yeah, just a great one-off episode.
Did you want to back Wei Yun?
Look, I've put Wei Yun on my favourite things about the show list, which if we ever get to that.
Okay.
And we're still on the first list.
Just since we're back to the Breen, am I the only one who giggled every time they said Thotgor?
Thotgor.
Was that their like plant? I don't remember them saying that. Was that the planet?
No, Thot is their equivalent of Gore.
Oh, Thot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, Gore?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't even notice that. I've just written the Borg, but whatever. The Borg were brought up in season 1. Cisco's got a big beef with the Borg. Never, like, literally not mentioned ever.
Yeah, apparently the executive producers absolutely didn't want to do anything with the Borg.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. The last one I got on the list is kind of what I already mentioned, which is the Romulans. Remember we were talking about that episode where it's a fake. It's a fake. Guys, remember that? they fake the evidence of the disloyalty of the changelings, of the Vorta. They pretend to the Romulans that they're going to betray the Romulans. Sorry, the changelings, the Dominion are going to betray the Romulans. They know that they think that's going to happen, but they don't have any evidence, so they fake evidence.
Yeah.
And the Romulans, that admiral, whatever he's called, he realizes it's a fake, and then they kill that guy, so that it looks like they changed. It looks like the Dominion got that guy killed. So then same thing happens anyway. The Romulans end up defecting. They no longer serve the
most highly rated episode generally.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
is that the one with Garrick?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's a really good one. I like how like emotionally unstable you see Cisco appear in that one, because he just like goes off the rails in that one. Yeah.
That was probably the darkest that aside from like Section 31, the idea that the Federation were kind of turning evil, or that they could do bad things in service of good.
Well, specifically our main character doing something. It wasn't like a bad element of the Federation. It was.
That is not something Picard would do.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of something that I really like about Cisco, is that compared to Picard, he's just like a completely different captain. Like Cisco is so like, you know, emotionally unstable. Like, you know, he holds grudges throughout the show. He like goes against orders. He like makes threats and stuff. I think even in that episode, doesn't he walk into Garrick's shop and just like full on punches him in the face?
Yeah.
Which you would never see in TNG at all.
Let alone from Picard, just from anyone in TNG.
Yeah.
And sorry, I don't want to get to the end of this before mentioning, completely unrelated, but it just reminded me of it, is the episode where Thomas Riker returns. It's like a weird run-off episode. He walks in on Miles O'Brien working on the console on the Defiant or whatever, and Miles O'Brien, he might recognize him as Thomas because he's impersonating William Riker.
Yeah.
I won't explain that. It's just, it'll take too long. If you get it, you get it. Thomas is impersonating Will, but because Miles O'Brien has a history with Will Riker, Thomas is worried that that O'Brien is going to recognize him. So he just makes up some bullshit. He just goes like, he pretends to be mad at O'Brien and then says like, you know what you did. And O'Brien's like, what? He's like, but he's so polite. He's like, oh man, like that guy's mad at me. He just gets out of there. And that's how he shuts down the interaction. It's just so ballsy. And then he takes off the fake sideburns that he was wearing. Oh, it's just brilliant. That was a good episode though, Thomas Riker. I'm glad he made a return.
Yeah, it was all right.
I just like, he got a ship with him and Kira.
Yeah, because they were on there. Yeah, there was quite a long bit before they actually was revealed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, did he have sex with Kira?
No. They had like a I love you, I know kind of moment where he's just about to leave. Like he's surrendering, and then he's like, I got a cheeky kiss from Kira before I go. It was cool. Saf, you know what I'm talking about. You like a bit of Thomas Riker, right?
Yeah, he's all right. He's not my favorite, but yeah, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah. Yeah, he was trying to put himself apart from Will Riker, like trying to make himself different by being a terrorist. It's like, I like that as a character motivation. You know, it's dumb, but it's like just dumb enough to be true. Like people, you can't believe it, you know. That was my list of all of my complaints about the continuity. So I guess we can just get on to stuff that we liked now. We already talked about Miles O'Brien. Brilliant. Oh yeah, let's talk about the good continuity. I've got a list of here of just like cute things I never forgot about. Baseball, darts, Uman, Norsicans, transparent skull guy, stem bolts, brackets, self-sealing, and Lieutenant Barclay even got a mention. It's like a throwback to...
yeah, what was that episode?
O'Brien was connecting with Worf. And they were like reminiscing about their times on TNG, and the first thing that O'Brien brings up is like, oh, remember that? He was like, oh, remember that Lieutenant Barclay? Crazy. It's such a niche thing that I guess.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it was a brilliant throwback. Any of those other ones stick out to you? Baseball, darts, Uman. You know what I'm talking about? Uman.
Yes, Uman.
Yeah, the Ferengi always call them Uman. It makes me laugh every time. hanging out with that man.
You're-
and also,
you're-
sorry, go on.
You're missing the main character. You're missing Morn.
Morn, yeah.
What do you think of Morn? I think he's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good sort of running gag. I think they kind of jumped the shark a bit with that episode all about Morn. Like, he was a background character. I didn't love him as the main focus of an episode.
No, he wasn't in the episode,
Yeah.
apart from right at the end. You thought he was dead. I thought it was quite a cool little, like, what
Yeah.
happened thing. You're
Yeah,
like,
I thought that was cool.
playing that guy. And
Some things really do never change, and Morn is right back on that stool. Like next episode, like he's always there. Like as many things as much continuity as there is in this show, as many things change, characters leave and appear. Morn is always there. Like it's always going to be there.
I quite like the retcon in that episode. That the reason why he's bald is because he was holding like 2 kilos of latinum in his stomach.
Right. That was great. Yeah, he has been holding that latinum in his stomach like the whole. Was it the whole time? Or did he just swallow it in that?
No,
episode?
it was.
I thought he had it the whole time. Yeah, it's always been there.
Yeah.
In his second
I
stomach.
mean,
or
it wasn't always there because they made it up in that episode.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was a beautiful. It was a neat retcon.
He doesn't actually say anything, does he? Like the whole.
No,
He doesn't say anything.
yeah.
He doesn't even emote. He just kind of nods.
That's
Like
an emote.
raises his glass. Like I mean, he doesn't have a facial expression.
Yeah.
They haven't built in
He has
any
like a-
animatronics.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for bringing up Morn. I didn't have him on the list. But yeah, that's just a few things that they always kept track of. Constantly bringing up the baseball thing, and the darts were brought in like a few seasons later. But then they kept the dartboard, and they always it's kind of like playing poker in TNG. Like they always came back to that dartboard.
Yeah. And they had the little models as well.
Yeah, they brought that in very late. The miniature game that they played, it was quite. Yeah, they stuck to that. There's a
The anime.
yeah the anime that bromance was one of the best I've seen on screen. Probably one of the things we could bring up is the I get the thing with the continuity is that the relationships changed in that satisfying way. It wasn't like Will Riker and Deanna Troi where they were like consistently will they won't they or like they used to and will they whatever.
Yeah.
It was like people could get into relationships that would last for 2 seasons and then get out of them, or Miles O'Brien and Julian could start off hating each other and then they'd be like super bromance, like I think these guys are in love at the end. It was like people would change. It was good. I liked that.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't a huge fan of because I guess the big ship is Julian and Garrick.
Yeah, why do people ship Julian and Garrick?
They do some stuff, but
They had these little dates in the first couple seasons and then they just stopped doing that. And they had that one really good episode where Garrick was he was sick in his brain because he was addicted to some implant
yeah,
the Cardassians put in to make him survive torture.
yeah, you got it.
Yeah, and then Garrick has like a little mental breakdown in front of Julian, and I guess they bond over that. But then that was about it for their relationship. I don't think it grew after that. But Garrick did change. Like we saw more of Garrick as the show went.
Yeah.
It was nice. And you could just have stuff like that. And Cisco got married. I wasn't into that, but
Any thoughts about Garrick? Saffron or Jensen?
Yeah, I think Garrick is a really cool character. I liked him from the start. I like the sort of like mysterious vibes he gives off and stuff. And I also really like the one where he goes crazy from something and tries to kill them all.
right.
That one is a really good episode.
That's Empok Nor episode.
Yeah.
One of the like 7 Empok Nor episodes.
My favorite Garrick moment, I don't even remember what the context was, but he's being all polite and genteel and I'm a simple tailor, ha ha ha. And then like just like on a dime, he switches to being like enraged, like really mad. And you get the sense that it's always just a hair away. Like it's just a fine veneer that he's had on this whole time, like concealing this like monster,
What else happened?
like psychopath. I don't remember what
This is the
episode it
episode
was.
Saffron was talking
It could have
about?
been that episode.
Because like that episode.
No, it wasn't mind control. He was just really mad, but he could conceal it perfectly. And that's what makes him such an intriguing character, is that he is a master of deception, and he's being all buddy with everyone, but like you really don't know who does he like,
But I really feel like the Dark Knight, How to Get My Scars thing.
Yeah.
They must have seen the episode of Garrick when he keeps telling different stories to Julian.
That's the one I'm talking about with the implant. Yeah.
Is that one?
That's that episode.
Because like he talks about this is like he tells them, this is the end of the episode. Like you think he actually tells them the true story because he says there were two guys like Elam and Garrick.
Yeah, he says that I had my best friend called Elam.
Yeah, and like
we were raised on the streets together, and he was my blood
yeah,
brother.
It's a long involved story. And you think, this is the real thing. And like right at the end of the episode, you find out that like his first name is Elam, and that was a lie as well.
Yeah. But what he always says is that sometimes the lies are more true than the It's a bit of bullshit, but it's like in every lie there is like a hint of truth that you don't know which bit.
Yeah, but it's cool that like you get that from him, that he tells a lie and like you think, this guy's a liar, so like I'm on to this guy, this liar, and then like he goes for thing. You think every time he tells a new story, you think like, he's probably telling the truth now.
Yeah, right.
Which is like a testament to the writing and the acting coming together to sort of sell that, even though like he's explicitly, this guy is a liar and he's lied in this episode about the same kind of thing. He's now going to tell you another story, and because he's telling you in a really convincing way, you believe him. And then at the end, it's like he's lied.
Yeah, like I don't even know for sure that he likes Julian. That's what I'm saying. He's like I don't know anything about his personality, and like, do you remember in season 7? Like, I won't say the specific situation, but Odo never carries a phaser, and he won't kill anyone. He's like, he thinks it's very vulgar to shoot a phaser, but when someone needs to be shot, he gives the gun immediately to Garrick, and Garrick does not hesitate. He just fucking kill him immediately. You remember?
Yeah, he does that a few times.
That's the guy you throw the gun to if you want someone dead, because he'll not blink about it. Any more thoughts on Garrick? I know we'd like to have a whole stream about him, but
I'd just say he's probably my favorite character. I just love the fact he's always in the background and seems to know everything going on the station. Like, even if he's not involved. There's one scene that really stands out with him and Quark, when it's going back to that episode where Quark wants to hook up with that Klingon, and they're having a conversation about don't get involved, but using fashion as a metaphor.
Yeah. Always with the fashion metaphors, yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, I did like that.
Like, some things go out of style, you don't want to be involved.
Yeah, be dangerously out of style or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that kind of epitomizes his character. Is like he's going on this tailor thing. He's always talking about being a tailor, and nobody's buying it. But that's just the first level of lie. That's the lie he puts there so that you feel like you know the truth about him. But nothing you know about him.
Yeah, there's a whole episode where he blows up his own shop.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's a cool twist at the end where he blows up his own shop.
I think you blew up your shop, didn't you? And he's like, did I?
Because that episode leads in, because it's the first part of the episode is who blew up Garrick's shop, and like who's after him, and then that escalates into a whole like the Obsidian Order and the. Is
that what they take Odo prisoner?
Yeah, when he tortures him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's quite cool. It starts off like as a cute like Gumshoe Detective Deep Space Nine story, and then it ends up as like this epic like they're going to try and like genocide the founders, but they don't.
Sorry, I just got chills because I remember the end of that episode where Odo, after being tortured for hours, and he's like ragged, like literally, there's bits of his skin falling off. It looks like he's been singed all over by like some horrible fire. Like he really looks awful. Like he's been through a lot over the last day or whatever, like however long he's been tortured for. And the truth that he comes out with, like the thing that he's telling them is like, I'm telling you everything. The deepest truth that he's been hiding is that he wants to go back to the founders. He doesn't. That's where he belongs. In his heart, he knows he's being called back to the founders. These like the absolute evilest.
Yeah.
The leaders of the Dominion who've been like massacring his friends.
The
biggest threat to the thing that is like in his deepest hearts. That's what he knows is his home, and it's so brutal. And I know we're talking about Garrick, but I just remember that episode, and that was like one of my favorite moments. So cathartic. Yeah. Is that a good segue to talk about Odo and the changelings? Any more thoughts on that? I was going to say that I loved it every time when he turned liquid, like, oh look, that chose Odo, or like, you know, he turns into a Tarkinian Hawk, or like when in like the first episode where someone throws a spanner in his head and he turns liquid and goes right through. I loved it. I always loved it every time. It was great.
Yeah, I like the dynamic with Odo and Quark. When Quark is like super paranoid that Odo could just be anything all the time, which is funny.
Quark.
Yeah, they sort of try and it's good, but it's not. I guess it's just a testament to some of the other relationships that are like, amazing, because they do try and keep that frenemies thing all the way through the show, where that Quark he gets quarters above Odo, and he gets
Odo is above Quark.
Yeah, but then Odo puts in soundproofing into his house so that he doesn't disturb Quark's sleep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I needed the soundproofing for blah blah blah, but really, you know that he was just, you know, because if the Ferengi ears thing that was introduced quite late, but it was a really interesting. Like the Ferengi have those huge ears, and like it was only quite late in the show that it was revealed that they have really really good hearing because of that.
It was late in the show. I think it was like early.
I didn't notice it early.
It wasn't like they didn't spend an episode on it or anything, but
yeah, it's just like dropped in where he goes like, oh, you heard that? And he goes, hello. It was dumb. Yeah, that was a great like I said, frenemies, I guess is a good way of summing it up.
Yeah.
They had a good dynamic. Probably best summed up by, what was it, Quark saying they're talking about Odo and Odo's not there. And they're going like, why are you helping Odo? And Quark says, I think a sworn enemy is the closest thing that guy has to a friend, which I thought was a perfect like summary of their relationship, because Odo's such a miserable old bastard.
Yeah, remember the time when Quark tries to set up Kira to go on a date with Odo, like after they've been like the anniversary of their month-long relationship, and they agree, but then it turns out that they're going to have it on a slightly different day, so the thing he's arranged is going to not be on the day that he wants it to be, so Quark is going to catch him. Odo's going to catch Quark doing this thing. And then it turns out that Odo figures this out and just changes it so that Quark can get away with it.
Yeah, he lets Quark get away with a little minor criminality.
Yeah.
No, it was like a kind of victimless crime where he's smuggling some precious resource.
Yeah, he got this Norscan to come to the station, and he couldn't rearrange his schedule. Apparently you can't like text people.
Jedi Knight Anakin Cringe Walker says that Odo is the academic agent in space. I mean, he is very judgmental and authoritarian. I think I can see where you're coming from, but probably not quite as decadent. And I can't imagine Odo enjoying a sugar butter or a Charlie Bingham's.
You literally can't taste anything unless when he's in the human form, which he does like it.
Yeah.
Oh, remember that was a shit episode. The episode where Jadzia Dax's hosts possess one other person.
Let's just forget about that. That was a rubbish one.
That's all crap. And then Curzon Dax possesses Odo, and they merge together, and they want to stay together.
They like being.
Yeah, I can't remember why they actually started.
Oh yes, I remember that one. That one's a good one.
It was literally cringe. Like the first 5 minutes of it, as soon as the first host is possessed, it's Kira, and she's pretending to be an old lady, and it's like, I really don't want to watch this.
And then Quark has to pretend to be a woman.
Oh, yeah. He's like talking to Jadzia about like what it's like to be a mother. Oh no, let's just move on. Any more thoughts about Quark, Odo? I don't know how we got onto that, but yeah.
I mean, the stream is called like Cringe, so like you could come up with some cringe moments like Prophet and Lace or.
Oh yeah, I did have a things I hated list. I thought we.
Any particular hated episodes for you guys?
The baseball one.
Really? I mean,
I found it surprisingly endearing at the end when they're all like celebrating and they all signed the ball. I was kind of like, oh.
I thought it's a good episode, but not at that point in the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's the Dominion War. Things are kicking off. You don't really want to have an episode where they're like playing baseball and they lose and they like win by moral victory at that point.
Yeah. Sorry, Jenny Benevolent, we kind of cut you off there. Did you have more to say about the baseball episode?
No, I think that just summarized it. Also, about 60% of the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Vic Fontaine, someone's mentioned in the chat, that was one of my stuff they brought in right at the end randomly, like, and we were just expected to like acknowledge, like, oh, all the characters have always loved swing music. Like, of course they'd want to like hang out at a speakeasy. Obviously they'd want to listen to Vic Fontaine. And like every time he sang a song, it was the whole thing. He sang the whole thing.
Yeah, it really feels like somebody owed somebody a favor.
It's not that bad. It's just like, why?
Yeah.
I'm
The
just
whole
wondering if that
song.
was partly the popularity of the Doctor, and sort of they were thinking, look, we
Oh.
need a fully sentient hologram on DS9 as well.
Yeah, I think you might be right, actually. And the singing as well. We all know the Doctor loves his
I don't think he ever made it through a whole song.
Yeah, someone's in the kitchen with dynamite. I can hear it in my head, the way he sings it.
Yeah, I mean, Vic Fontaine could have been a lot worse. I'd say that.
He was never cringe, though. Like, he was quite classy.
Yeah.
I didn't hate any scene that he was in.
It was just kind of jarring that the show just, it was in so many episodes.
All
So
condensed into
much,
one. If
yeah.
all those episodes were just spread over seasons, like 7 seasons, it might have been okay.
Yeah. Because that was a good episode with Ron?
Nog.
Nog.
Yeah, probably my highlight of the season 7 was Nog in the holosuite for like the whole episode.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And Vic Fontaine was like a big part of that. It was like, it's like a random pairing, like you never would have put these two characters together, and like it just works.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably something that we can all relate to as well, like that feeling of just being really, having a bad experience and then just wanting to do something like watching Star Trek, probably for a lot of people, where you just want to do something completely different for a while. And even though it's irrelevant, you're still kind of processing that emotion in this way. I mean, the what I was thinking about with that episode was the film Reign Over Me, which I guess it's not like a brilliant film or anything, but
It's a good film.
The Adam Sandler, it's not that kind of film, but Adam Sandler plays a guy whose family died in 9/11, and to cope with this emotionally, he just plays Shadow of the Colossus over and over again.
That's one of the things he does. He completely avoids it.
Yeah, but that's the
He redecorates his kitchen.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of a twist, is that his family died in 9/11.
No, it's not a twist. They say it in like the first scene he meets him. He
Uh,
goes home to his wife and he goes, "Oh, I bumped into Charlie. By the way, his family died in 9/11." Anyway, it's a great conflict. It's something so relatable, especially for a Star Trek show, where Nog is caught between living in this fantasy world, like watching Star Trek for lots of people, and living his real life, because he wants to keep hiding away, and it is helping him recover and just feel a bit more normal. But he also has to get on with his life at some point. Yeah, brilliant episode, especially for a Vic Fontaine episode.
Any other cringe moments?
Yeah, sometimes I think the Cisco, like, as the emissary is kind of cringe. That kind of, like, does my head in a little bit as, like, a massive storyline, if I'm honest.
There's a whole episode where he's basically Jesus.
A whole, seasons.
But they really lean on it, where he's, like, having visions, and he's, like, blessing people. Like, the Bajoran's, like, going past, and he's like, "You will be healed."
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of meant to be weird and off, but I still, I wasn't into it. It wasn't. The whole end of the show is like that, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, and I kind of found Bashir's, like, genetic engineering thing kind of cringe, to be honest. I wasn't really into that, because I didn't like his character at all from the start. I just found him really annoying. But
yeah, apparently the genetic engineering thing was just to try and nobody liked his character, so they just tried to soft reboot his character.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And he was just pretending to be retarded.
Joke's on you. Yeah, that was on my list of stuff they brought in for no reason with Vic Fontaine and Raktaginos. Bashir, genetically engineered, okay, that was happening the whole time. And, actually, he was really good at darts. And I think they were trying to, downplay how much of a Mary Sue he was. They were trying to give a reason for why he should be amazing. And then they just made him more amazing because of that. He's like, I've been I've been lying about how good at darts I am this whole time.
Yeah, I was pretending. I mean, I do like them going back to like the eugenics wars stuff. It was for like continuity reasons. It's like it's nice that
Yeah, you nerd.
it's just it keeps continuity makes breathes life into sci-fi shows. The more continuity, the more believable the universe.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say this whole thing. Yeah.
So like the fact that they talk about the eugenics wars and like there's still this taboo about genetic engineering and stuff like that. I like that broad concept. I don't really care about it as far as Julian is concerned.
I've got another cringe.
Okay.
Mirror Universe episodes, subtitle.
Oh, the Mirror Universe episodes.
Evil Cisco, Smiles, and sexy dominatrix bisexual Kira. There's 4 things for you that I hated. I wanted to skip the Mirror Universe episodes. I hated them so much. I didn't know how relevant to the plot they were.
They were never relevant to the plot.
Yeah, they were never relevant. That's what made it so much worse.
Yeah, I think the Mirror Universe thing is like you can do 1 or 2 in a whole run, but it just unless you've got like a hot take on it, like just the fact that it's the same but they're evil runs out of gas quite quickly.
Yeah, they were just. It felt like the actors like wanted to do something fun, like a fun improv where, oh, what if I was evil?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got like 150 episodes, it doesn't hurt to like have a bit of fun and just go like, oh, this is the evil versions of the characters. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. I think that they liked it and they kept going back, but they didn't always have a compelling idea. That whole one where it's just evil Kira comes to our universe and brings evil Kira's boyfriend back.
Yeah.
Remember it? And it's just so she can steal an orb.
Shakar is pretending to run away from the Mirror Universe.
Yes.
But Shakar is dead.
Yeah.
So Kira hooks up with the Mirror Universe Shakar, and actually he's just trying to steal the orb. But he actually does like her.
Yeah. It really feels like a contractually obliged Mirror Universe episode. Yeah, like they had to have one episode that was a Mirror Universe episode, and they gave it to the intern to write.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Jenny Benevolent, Mirror Universe?
I think someone just really liked seeing Kira in leather.
Yeah, that was every time she was on screen was cringe. I like my cute, feisty, wholesome Kira. I didn't like seeing her all sexy and mean. And she's mean normally, but anyway. Yeah. That was Mirror Universe episodes.
Barile, not Shakar.
Barile, yeah, he was her first boyfriend. Shakar was the minister.
Barile was the priest and Shakar was the prime minister.
Yeah, there weren't. I don't think personality-wise or facial, appearance-wise, they were different enough.
She had a type, didn't she?
Yeah, probably Odo.
Yeah,
and a cut if you count him as a type. Yeah, she could have done with one less boyfriend, I think. Yeah, I've also got Wolf and Dax cringe. We already talked about that.
There was that. Remember that time in that one episode where Keiko and O'Brien and Kira were immensely attracted to each other.
That was brilliant. I love that episode. It was like the universe was forcing them to be together, and they really didn't want to be.
But they did.
They kind of did, but yeah.
And that would have been a cool twist in the story where they ran off together.
But yeah, it was just fun to have a little personal conflict like that. I've got a little dog.
Miles suffering.
Yeah.
I've got Benny Russell. That was cringe. It's so real. Oh my god! It's like
that won an Emmy or something.
Oh yeah, it did. And it was like, a black man in the 60s could, even if he was the greatest sci-fi writer, even if he wrote something as brilliant as Deep Space Nine, he still couldn't make it as a sci-fi writer. Oh, I mean, it was cute seeing all the guys out of makeup.
Yes.
Like, the whole episode was quite good, apart from the racism stuff and it's so real.
Yeah, sometimes Sisko's acting was interesting.
It was a bit much.
Interesting choices, brave choices.
You guys remember that episode?
Yeah, I was going to say, that one's like rated really highly and I've never understood why. I've always thought it's really cringe.
Yeah.
I just think Sisko was taking a lot of his cues from William Shatner in that episode.
They bring back. They do go back to Benny Russell for that one episode. In season 7.
That's
Oh,
Yeah, it turns the evil, the devil,
Paul Rafe.
the devil. I do want to call him by his real name.
Yeah,
I want to give him a lamer name because they're lame.
yeah, demon. Yeah,
Like they
ghost.
pretend they remake Benny Russell's universe and pretend that he's in a mental institution and he's just imagining space time.
I kind of liked the idea, but the Benny Russell thing was already like tasted so bad in my mouth that I didn't.
I'm not sure which did
I
it
hated
first,
it.
but I'm pretty sure Buffy the Vampire Slayer did something very similar to that.
Just because you said the word "pa," I thought some people watching the stream might appreciate the story about how the Kai Wynn and the other Bajorans, they can like test your pa by grabbing your ear like this. They grab hold of your ear, like they do that a lot, and then it's like, you got a strong pa. But around the time we were watching the show, our little daughter started doing that. Like she would grab it like quite tight. She'd like reach for your ear.
I don't think this is a story that anyone else gets.
Look, I was just saying because it's cute.
Okay.
So whenever she did that, we'd go like, you've got a strong pa. She's testing your pa.
What is this?
Cisco was married. That was lame. There wasn't an interesting relationship.
Well, and then she came back in the real universe.
Yeah.
Like
No, I think his new wife.
Oh yeah, the thing. What was her name?
Cassidy.
Cassidy Yates.
Oh, yeah.
More like Cassidy Yikes.
Brilliant. Thoughts on Cassidy Yikes or about we were talking about Benny Russell.
Yeah, she committed a high crime and got out in 6 months. That's the Federation. Like,
That was a technicality.
it wasn't technicality. That was a full term.
Oh yeah, she was a smuggler, and he was
She
just
was
like
smuggling for terrorists.
Yeah, they have for terrorists. Do we want to talk about the Marquis, as you call them, to annoy me? I always thought that Eddington was a pretty weak villain, and that should have been Descartes. Like, not literally that should have been Descartes, but Descartes should have had that role in the show of being the like slightly sympathetic counterpoint to Cisco.
Yeah, the Marquis were always like they didn't really want to do stuff with them, but they would on occasion. Yeah, it was like they never really wanted to do the Marquis stories or whatever, but they never felt looked after. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they never like really integrated them into the show. They kind of like do them because they'd kind of been set up in TNG, and they were killed off screen.
And you said they were pushing it to be a part of the Voyager, which was airing at the time. Like they kept including the Marquis to link up the universes a bit.
Yeah, because the Cardassians were set up in TNG because they knew they did it in Deep Space Nine, and then the Maquis was set up in DS9 because they knew they did it in Voyager. But then they still had to deal with them, but then they didn't. They just killed them off screen when the Dominion took over the Cardassians.
Yeah. Marquis, thoughts?
Yeah,
I
I
think you're
kind
right.
of. Sorry, go on.
No, you go, Soph.
Oh, thanks. I was going to say, I actually kind of enjoyed Eddington in it. I really liked some of his rants that he had. The one where he basically says the Federation are like worse than the Borg. It's pretty fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I kind of feel like his character in it kind of brought out like any criticisms that you would have had on the Federation. Because again, in TNG, like they don't really like go into that sort of story or criticism of like how the Federation are and how they like run things and stuff. But I kind of feel that Eddington kind of like captures that a lot, and it's kind of cool. And I also like how much Eddington like annoys Cisco to the point where Cisco just goes insane.
He's a troll, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they start talking about Les Mis.
Yeah,
Yes,
they tried to do the same thing with the Wrath of Khan, where they're always making references to the whale book. What's it called? Moby Dick.
Yeah, well, but
The whale book. And I guess they thought that was good, so they did it again with the same, the Battle of Duel of Fates and the the rivalry cover
I think it's nice
but
to.
with Les Mis this time.
It's nice to make literary allusions. Yeah, it's better than like making. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, Wrath of Khan is elevated by trying to aspire to those things, and like the later Star Wars are aspiring to be Star Wars.
Yeah, good point. I think I like that they respect their audience enough. Like, despite the fact that a lot of the people watching Star Trek wouldn't have read Moby Dick or Les Mis, like they might just be like 14-year-old kids. It's like they respect the audience enough to like throw in some literary references.
Yeah.
You know, it's aspirational. I like it.
Yeah, it was before the movie.
Yeah, before the Russell Crowe movie. Okay, I've got through most of the list actually, so well done, guys. I've got a few other things. Do we want to talk about Wei Yun more? Because I loved Wei Yun, and I thought he should have been in the show the whole time, but I guess it wasn't possible. But the first thing to say about Wei Yun is that you're not always watching the same Wei Yun. He dies several times, and he gets cloned, and they bring him back as like another Wei Yun. And then there was an episode where there was a good Wei Yun. The clone had a defect that made him not evil. And I really wanted him to be in this show from that. Like, there would be like a good Wei Yun and an evil Wei Yun, but I guess it was too confusing.
Honestly, that would have been a good part.
Brilliant, but it would have been confusing for people who hadn't seen that episode.
You could have given him a scar or something. You could have done it.
Sideburns. You guys like Wei Yun? Jeffrey Combs did a great job.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Yeah, I haven't really thought about him too much though, but yeah, he's a cool character.
I'd say top three characters in the show.
What would you like about him?
Jeffrey Combs is a great actor for a start, and then just his very obsequious nature, even though on a dime it'll flip to wanting to kill you, or put you in some sort of whatever Dominion camp or something like that. Just his really, as I said, just the obsequious nature he deals with everybody, I just find quite entertaining. Yeah.
Top 3 Wei Yun moments.
Yeah, I mean, being killed. Someone in the chat says he gets killed by Worf. That's always great. Like it happens so suddenly, without fanfare.
I would say that the time when Jay Sisko is talking to, there's a long like walk and talk section with like you're talking about writing. He wants to write new stuff and send out the reports and stuff like that. And then Jake Sisko says something, and like Wei Yun just goes like, "You can't be that naive."
That was a good Jeffrey Combs. That was very good.
Oh, that was brilliant, that section.
What was it? And the bit where they're trying to poison somebody, like Ducat or something, and they've got the poison there. They said, like, we found this poison, and like Wayne just takes it and drinks it. It goes like, that really was quite toxic.
Yeah.
And there's like slightly sadder one is when he's talking about like artwork, and he's saying like he's looking at like 2 bits of artwork that Goldacut's daughter's drawn, and he's going like, "Is this good?" And I think it's to Kira, and like he says like the founders didn't like give us didn't think that we would need an aesthetic taste.
Yeah.
So I can't judge aesthetic tastes. And he goes like, but obviously since the founders did it, it must be for the best.
Yeah, and the Vorta have bad eyesight as well.
Yeah.
Like they're just bred to be obsequious, middle management minions, and they don't have any other the kind of personality traits.
Oh, the origin story. That's a good one where he tells the story about the first Vorta.
Yeah.
He said that. He says that the Vorta used to be little like ferrets or whatever, and the story is that there was a founder that was running away from solids. And the little monkey helped the founder, and then the founder in return gave them intelligence. It's like a really like a religious like just so story. Like it really is.
That's the legend that the Vorta live by. Is like the founders are the origin of all their life, and they have to be thankful for it. But I think the root of Wayne's character is just Jeffrey Combs' acting. He does it so well that it doesn't matter what that guy does. It's always good. It's always interesting to watch.
Yeah, because he doesn't just play Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs doesn't just play Wayne. He plays the creepy orange turtle. Yeah,
that was a really bad episode, but Jeffrey Combs really he really lifted it.
Do you guys remember that episode?
He wants a hologram of Kira.
I can't remember that one, but I do remember him as Liquidator Brunt as well.
FCA.
Yeah.
I can't hear the name Brunt without hearing FCA after it. Ferengi Commission Commerce Agency.
Yeah.
He says it like FBI, but really he's like a bureaucrat. Brunt FCA. Yeah, brilliant. He's such a great actor because like he doesn't act the same in any two roles. Like, he's always different, but great to watch. You know, the Brunt character is like completely different from Wayne, and the actual mannerisms and everything's just different.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other because he plays at least one more character, doesn't he?
I thought there was the only two in that show, the three in that show, and then there's also the Enterprise Andorian.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I mean, the Wayans are technically three characters.
He does turn up in Battle 5 in one episode.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, I can't mention Jeffrey Combs without talking about the Reanimator, where he's, like 10 years younger, 20 years younger, playing a college student who brings people back to life.
It was like 10 years before.
Yeah.
Like 88, I think it was.
He was great in that too, obviously. Yeah, any more on Wayne?
Or any other characters?
I think we've hit the best ones. You already talked about Ducat, obviously.
What about Damar?
Yeah.
Any thoughts about Damar?
Yeah.
He was a bit nothing. Like they needed a Cardassian, so they took the only other named Cardassian who wasn't Garrick or Zial, and they just like, oh, Damar, he was a Cardassian. Let's just make him the new, Cardassian leader. A bit lame. Yeah, no, what he drank a lot, and that was his only personality trait.
Yeah. Until he decided to become a good minor character was Garrick's probably mum.
That was more of an extension of Garrick as an interesting character.
No, she was quite good. Well, it was quite cool that they just killed her. Quite brutal. She was quite like a friendly, sort of like matronly woman, and then like she's protecting them in the cellar, and the Dominion just come in and just kick a dead body down the thing. That's like, you don't even see it get killed. I really would hate to end the stream on this note, but I wrote down later because it is so jarring the way she just turns up completely unannounced, and all the other characters are acting like she's been there the whole time, and she's not been in a single episode, a single scene, not a single line of dialogue explaining why she's there. It's like Mr. Poopy Butthole in Rick and Morty, where they all like they're best friends with Lita, like, oh yeah, good old Lita. She's been here the whole time. But it's like I hated her character as well. You guys remember Lita?
Yeah. I was going to say another really cool side character that we haven't mentioned is the Nagus.
Yeah.
I like the Grand Nagus.
The guy from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Inconceivable. Yeah, he's a good actor. I can hear it.
Ear fluff.
He just has like Doris hanging off all of him. And, yeah. He's like he's squinting the whole time, like he can barely see. I mean, it's a shame. Like the makeup department are really the unsung heroes of all the Star Trek shows, but maybe especially this one where
Well, keeping on the Grand Nagus, there is that whole late episode arc where Ferenginar becomes woke.
Yeah.
You guys remember that? Like, because
Feminism.
Quark's mum effectively takes over the entire thing and institutes female emancipation.
Yeah, so they can wear clothes and get jobs.
Yeah, and like they changed it so that the Nagus is no longer like supreme ruler. He's just like executive.
Is he like a figurehead, or is he?
They just reduced his power.
Yeah, they introduced like a Senate or something, and an income tax, I think, as well.
Yeah, isn't tax is like a dirty word in Ferengi?
Strike is.
Strike, yeah, and then but everything works on bribes. Like Mr. Benevolent said, the Ferengi, they're so developed, they're always interesting. I mean, apart from all like cringe feminist stuff, it's like the way that their whole society like functions with like just you have to bribe literally everyone to get anywhere, to get anything done. But they're like very. It's kind of like they didn't. The writers obviously didn't have that great an idea of like how the economics worked, and like sometimes they were extremely libertarian, and then sometimes they were very they're very corporate capitalism.
Yeah.
Like a very monopolizing and like divvying things up, cartels and
Yeah, they're a
that
little
sort of
like
thing.
mirror university, and that like their society is probably a bit too evil to ever really exist.
Yeah, it's a bit inconceivably. You couldn't have people betraying each other that much and still be like that much of a contender on the.
Yeah, they're probably. You remember that episode where he goes home and they've got like a little bribe.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Where to enter the house, they've got a little bribe box.
I mean, the whole system of Latinum was invented in Deep Space Nine, right? Like they didn't even have like a currency in the other Star Trek shows, and then it's pretty much just the Ferengi who use Latinum. But then you also need Latinum if you want to buy drinks at Quark's, or even though he's just using a replicator to make them, and also if you want to use a holodeck,
you pay for the ambience.
You pay for the ambience, definitely. Yeah, it's just a great world building thing. Like you've got the slips, you've got strips, and you've got what is it, slabs. You got slabs, and then they like season 6 or something, they introduce bricks of platinum, and they look like gold, but the gold is the useless outer coating, and it's the latinum inside that is the
liquid latinum.
It's liquid, yeah. It's just great. It's just great world building. I like it, even though it doesn't quite work with the Federation.
Well, I heard a good like retcon headcanon thing where Latinum's always inside the Federation. Like in TNG, you're only seeing the internal Federation stuff, so they don't have to use Latinum or their interaction with a brand new society.
They don't get paid, right? Like the actual officers, they don't get paid.
They say they're saving up money, so I don't know where they get that from.
I think that's retconned.
I could imagine that frontier stations like Deep Space Nine, the Federation might give them some Latinum because like they're having to interact with societies that use it. It's like like if you're working in a foreign country, you'll get paid in the foreign currency.
Yeah.
I could imagine maybe if they're on the edge of the Federation, they get paid. But it's more like less
an allowance.
Yeah, it's less like they probably don't think of it as money. They think of it as like clothes you have to wear because it's cold outside. Yeah, it's all like it's the accoutrements that you need in that specific location. You need to have cold weather clothing. You need to have this, and you need to have some Latinum.
Well, in the show, they mostly use Latinum for gambling at Quark's.
Yeah,
and they don't actually even reference it that much in regards to buying drinks and food there, but they always reference it in terms of, I think, holosuite time that you have to pay for. And oh my god, I didn't talk about the holosuite, because in TNG the holosuite was like, this is where you go to train or to ride your horse or to go on a nice walk, and then it was like they'd occasionally slip in a little like, I'll be on the holosuite, like maybe he's having a wank. And then they're completely explicit about like the porn chamber.
Yeah.
In this show, it's so much seedier than TNG, where it's just like that's where you take your girlfriend for like a night of bondage or like some kind of like really kinky date.
Or you go and reenact the Alamo.
Yeah. It's like they didn't always use it for that, but it was very much explicit. That
imagine the smell.
It is, that's what I'm saying, is like the overall, what I really liked about Deep Space Nine is, I think, what you didn't like about it, where they were definitely like taking a tone down from Gene Roddenberry's like, clean, perfect future, and being like, this is like the seedy underbelly of that Starfleet utopia, where you're seeing people like Quark, you're seeing the disgusting holosuite.
What they did with Deep Space Nine, I think, is good because they managed to have an edgy universe in the Star Trek universe, with it still being coherent with the two.
It was canon,
because it wasn't in the Federation. It was explicitly outside the Federation. This is where the Federation isn't, so we can have a lot of dark stories, and like people can be mean and like not fully enlightened. We can do all that stuff, and it's completely consistent with the Federation being this like Roddenberry-esque, future where everyone is a better person. They don't get angry. Like those two.
They work for no pay because everything is free.
Yeah, that you could have that, and it's consistent, and they work together even though they're totally different. That's the thing that I don't like about like some of the other Star Treks, where they try and keep it edgy, like Picard and all the other crappy shit they've shit out.
Oh, Picard the show, not the character. Yeah.
Where they're just going, oh, everywhere's edgy.
Yeah.
That's it. The Federation's always been edgy, you just didn't realise.
It was always corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they throw in like hints of that, but in the TNG.
Yeah, I mean, Deep Space Nine is where like the Rock kind of starts in that movement, where they try and like undermine a little bit, but it's kind of fine. They play it, it's okay. It's consistent. Yeah, it's not. They kind of show like the perfect Federation cracking. They don't show that the Federation never really was that thing.
Yeah. Good point. But we did move on pretty fast from the holosuite. Mr. Benevolent, did you have any thoughts on the holosuite in this show?
I just find it interesting how accepted the concept of Orion slave girls are.
Orion slave.
Orion slave girls.
Is that the Brain Winter thing they just throw in a lot?
The Orion slave girls are from the original series. That's where they started.
I don't remember that.
They're green. It's like one of the like 4 things people know about Star Trek.
Okay.
Klingons, Beam Me Up Scotty, green slave girls, Mr. Spock.
Okay. And
It
they're
seems to be on Quark's list of programs he'll sell you.
yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
It's in the J.J. Abrams film.
Yeah, I remember there was a green girl in that.
Yeah. It's like a little nod for shit films.
Right. Saf, any favorite holosuite moments? You're on mute, sweetie.
I guess I kind of like the spy ones with Bashir.
What's his spy name?
What is it? I don't know.
I can't remember.
Agent something. He's got a name. He's basically James Bond.
Yeah, because the first spy one is it Doctor? It's not called Doctor No. So it's very close to it though.
It's Doctor Not No.
Yeah, it's the one where he's in the spy program, but there's a transporter accident at the same time.
My God.
And they have to put in the teleport matrix of all their personalities into the holodeck because it's got the only thing that's got space.
That's where all the RAM is.
So all the holodeck characters become different. All the holodeck characters stay the same, but their faces look like the main characters.
Yeah. It was very contrived for a not very good episode. Sorry, Saffron, you're in the middle of what did you like?
Criticize Saffron's favorite episode.
Yeah, Dr. Noah. That was it.
Oh yeah.
No, I was going to say, no, I kind of prefer the TNG holosuite episodes with Sherlock Holmes and stuff. Yeah, I mean...
I was trying to look, when I first started watching this show, I was trying to find the analogous characters where Data was kind of analogous to Spock. And I think, I was looking for it, I couldn't really find because there was a Vulcan on Voyager as well, Tuvok. They always had this logical autistic stand-in for the autistic viewer to empathize with.
And then
Odo, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like Odo even looks a little bit like Data, like he's pale and like smooth face.
Yeah.
So that just reminded me because the Data always like trying to be human and like trying to do experiments on the holodeck with being Sherlock Holmes and having these little capers with Geordie. It was quite good fun. Yeah, they didn't lean too much on the holosuite until season 7 with Vic Fontaine. The holosuite is always just kind of a plot point, but not the main plot of the episode.
Then occasionally just use it as Cisco had his.
Remember Racquetball?
Oh yeah, that was one of the first big Mars O'Brien
Julian
episodes where they hate each other, and O'Brien doesn't want to lose to Julian.
But Quark is running a
gambling
ring on betting on who's going to win.
What was the twist in that? Because
I think they found out that Quark was playing. He was like favoring.
No, it was lame. It was lamer than that, because the whole premise of that episode was that some alien found a magic luck box that when you played it, it made you lucky until it made you unlucky, and that guy went around reproducing them, and it became bigger than quarks. But they noticed like the luck was affecting other places on the space station, and that was it. Yeah, it was lame. But the thing was quite good. Brian being upset at Julian for beating him.
It was a really good way of incorporating that concept into a small story that was like very character driven.
Yeah,
it was pretty well written, even if it was a bit of a silly concept.
Is there anything we've missed? Anything major anyway?
I really like the episode where Kira is kidnapped by the Cardassians and she's surgically altered.
To be Cardassian, it's a bit of a gaslighting thing.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I like that one.
So I did ask you to talk about your favorite episodes, and I didn't actually ask you what they were. So have you got any more favorites? So I guess we'll go to Jenny Benevolent first. Do you have a favorite episode to talk about?
It's either In the Pale Moonlight or The Magnificent Ferengi.
You like that one? What's In the Pale Moonlight? That's the Garrett one.
It's a fake episode.
Two totally different stories.
Oh, yeah.
So Magnificent Ferengi, that's a kind of a goofy episode. Did you like the? What did you like
for the pure entertainment value of it, and it's just funny.
Yeah, I had a bit of a fight with Mr. Poe about Deep Space Nine versus Babylon 5, where I really appreciate that Babylon 5 has a much better world building and a better story and better, the characters are very, good. They're consistent, but there's just I think I'm a bit of a pleb because I keep going back to the really goofy fun stuff from Deep Space Nine and just going Babylon 5 just isn't that fun. It's a great story, but you don't get Magnificent Ferengi. You don't get banter between Clark and Odo. And
you do get some banter, but there's a lot more fun, quirky little bits. Yeah, there's the whole Trouble with Tribbles episode.
Oh yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. That's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
You guys remember what's it called?
Trouble with Tribbles.
No, Trouble with Tribbles is the original.
Is it?
The
Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah. You guys remember that one?
Yeah, that one's a cool one. Yeah, that one's cool.
Just on a technical level, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they mix in the old footage with the DS9 footage was really well done.
You remember Jadzia? She's admiring the tricorder. She's like, "Oh, retro," because it's to us it looks really retro.
Yeah.
But it's a cute kind of nod because to her she actually remembers that time because she has memories from back then.
Yeah.
And she's admiring and you got to see you get to see her in the mini skirt. It's good. All the costumes are great, and holding the thing on the.
There's the whole cute moment where Worf doesn't want to talk about the fact that Klingons look different.
Yeah, it's that retcon. Every time I watch it though, I hate the Tribble props. Some of them are really cute, and you see them purring, and they kind of tremble a little bit. They're so cute. And then when there's hundreds of them on screen at once, a lot of them look really rough. They're just like a teddy bear that somebody's turned inside out or something. I can't stop noticing that when I watch it. Well, maybe that's a great episode. Did you have any more favorite episodes to talk about, or should we wrap it up?
Oh, there's one more that I think is really cool. It's the one where they find that planet that's giving off that weird energy, and it turns out there's 8,000 descendants from the Defiant. That one's a cool one.
Yeah, I like the conflicts there, and I also like all the interpersonal stuff where you find out that there was a version of O'Brien who got over the fact that his wife was never coming back, and he sailed down with some ensign.
Yeah.
And he had now he's meeting his 20 descendants from that relationship.
He got a big upgrade.
A lot of stuff like that where it's oh my god, these characters that we've got to know, they had a whole life on this planet, and then it just all got erased because Odo really was in love with Kira.
Yeah, Odo just kills 8,000 people.
Right?
He simps so hard for Kira that he kills 8,000 people.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Brilliant ending. It's a perfect way to end that because the Federation also we've got to do the right thing. Doesn't matter. We're gonna we've got to make the sacrifice, guys. these people already exist. We've got to take priority. And then Odo is just like, he's not Federation. He will just do it.
Like, it's good because they do a double or triple thing because they decide to leave.
Yeah.
And they had that whole bit where they all like doing their crops for the last time.
Yeah, there's cute stuff with the farming. It's so cute.
They're doing all the crops and like O'Brien for some reason, like he's one of those sticklers for not staying.
Yeah.
I think
but he's got a family. It's like it works for his character.
Yeah, I want to get back to Yoshi and.
I'm gonna get back to Keiko. Oh man.
I'm gonna miss it so much. Those kids.
I keep thinking about them.
But then, so like you think they're gonna leave, then they go like, oh, we can't, because like the audience is going like, they can't leave, can they? Yeah, because they're gonna have to kill these people to leave. Yeah,
well, we the audience know that next episode everyone's gonna be back on the station.
But like, in the story, it's like, so like, and then like they go, okay, we're gonna stay, and then they try and crash, but they don't crash, they just leave, and it's like, what happened? And then they go like, oh, it was the simp did it.
I liked it. Odo's the only one who survived all that time because the rest of the crew who crashed are long dead. You only see their descendants. But Odo, it's like his character arc is great because he's still like only 8 years old. The version of him that's on the stage. No, he's like 30, right? I'm saying the Odo who we know, our Odo.
Yeah.
He's very like immature. Like he's very much like a simp for Kira.
Yeah, I don't know if they're explicit how old he is. I think he's hundreds of years older than he was a little pod thing that they sent out. But he's
when he became sentient.
Yeah.
But all I mean is we see we see a version of Odo now he's like hundreds of years old, and he's like a bit more mature. But instead of like growing past his feelings, he's just like he's fallen even more in love with Kira, like even after all that time apart.
Yeah, because he's still in love with her 200 years later, even though they never like at that point he never even consummated any kind of relationship.
Wait, but because she died on the landing.
Yeah, no, she was injured in an iron storm or something, like a few hours previously, and she'd be fine if she got back to Deep Space Nine in like a week.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
But she died like on the planet like a few weeks after they crash landed, and like Odo never said that he loved her, and 200 years later he's like Kira's back, and he just like goes like, I always loved you, by the way.
It's gonna be super awkward when you bump into that guy.
It's very convenient because Odo can't take shape in that episode,
so we don't see both of them. Yeah, it is a bit awkward the way that Kira gets injured though. They're like in an iron storm, like you say, and there's like turbulence. And she just like falls down, and they're like, "Oh no, she's gonna die if we don't get her back to Julian on the station."
Yeah, there's some handwork. Yeah, it's fine. Like they've got 40 minutes to tell a story.
Here's one for you. Kira didn't die, and I guess then he probably wouldn't mind her dying. I think if she crash landed and they had a happy life together, then he probably would be fine with that happening.
Well, what's funny is that when they do consummate, they get together in Deep Space Nine. They're together for like 6 months, and then he goes to the link, leaves her.
Yeah, fuck that.
he's like, he got over that really quick. He's like, she farts.
She pees really loud.
Yeah. She's
really talking through movies.
I'm going to the Great Link.
Yeah, I'm going back to being female changeling. You guys like that female changeling?
Is this something from the last season, or are you talking about like?
She's the one that when Odo goes back to and finds the. She's in a lot in the last season.
She's like the founder. Whenever you see a founder, it's usually her, like the old lady in pink dress.
There is a weird man founder behind her sometimes, but he doesn't come back very much.
Yeah, she's kind of lame.
Yeah, because they sex with her.
They link together.
No, they literally have sex.
Oh yeah, you're right. They take.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, because
that was
weird. Kira goes up to Damar outside Odo's quarters, And she goes like, "What's up with Odo? He's late for his meeting or whatever." And Damar goes, "He's been in there with the female changeling for like 3 hours." And Kira's like, "Harumph." And then Damar says, "Jealous." Jealous. That's great. That's my favorite Damar moment. He just says for the audience, no one else would say that.
I mean, your favorite bit of the show, like, I thought it was fine, but the whole Kira rubbing Odo's nose in it.
In what?
Yeah, where Odo to the audience
Shakar?
comes out as being in love with Kira.
Yeah, that cave scene was great as well.
And then, and then like Kira starts like dating some other guy and being rubbing Odo's nose right in it.
It's so painful. I don't even know if I liked it because they portrayed it so well, but the fact it was so real was too cringe. Like, not in a bad way, but it was so raw. She's not even with him yet. They're just friends who like they have this history together, her and Shakar. And they're like aggressively flirting, and like it's not just that they are together, which is like one thing, but the fact that they're falling in love with each other, like right in front of his eyes, and he's completely unable to do anything about it because he's such a simp. You know?
He's like in charge of security detail, so like he has to go.
He has to follow them around all the time, and he has to stand outside their quarters while they're, you know.
Yeah, he goes like, "Where's Shakar? Oh, he's been in Kira's daughter things for 24 hours."
Oh man, it's so
railing
painful.
each other for like.
And the next episode after that is Kira getting a full dose of Ducat's charm, like right at her, and Odo's like not in there to do it.
Yeah.
So she's started this relationship with Ducat, and she's getting a massive, a full. What I was saying.
Yeah, that Shakar thing is weird because like I don't think they could get the actor back or something, or it's too expensive because they reference that they're in a relationship for like a year, but he doesn't turn back up.
He's there when she gives birth, which is just really weird if you think about that as a relationship. It's like you're watching your girlfriend giving birth to another man's baby, but it's also not her baby.
Yeah, I mean, majority are all cucks anyway.
I'm not surprised that relationship didn't last. To be honest, like he's with her for like a year while she was pregnant with another man's baby.
Anything about the Bajorans? Because they're like the.
They're a staple of the show.
Yeah.
They're like the most common alien you see.
There's a split opinion about the Bajorans with
Bajorans did nothing wrong.
The Bajorans did nothing right.
The only thing Bajorans deserve is genocide.
Did the Bajorans deserve everything they got? Let's open that up to the floor. No.
Yeah. Mr. Benevolent, you have an opinion about the Bajoran occupation?
I would just say that they're probably one of the least interesting parts of the show. Like everything else I enjoy, but as soon as we get Bajoran focused episodes, particularly with the prophets or anything, I think my interest just drops off quite a bit.
I think I know what you mean. Although I really liked that they were a consistent presence in the way that they're a constant reminder that we're not in Federation space, and this is like not friendly territories. Like the relationship with the Bajorans is, I guess they could have done more with that because the Bajorans were always unambiguously on the side of Sisko because he's the emissary. There wasn't really a conflict there, but I just liked that there was that constant back and forth with the Cardassians and the Bajorans as a background element that was. I want to say it was always there, but that's what I wanted it to be. But that kind of got put aside when the Dominion Wars got started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where they were going with the Bajorans, but nothing really compelling came out of it, and some very uncompelling stuff came out of it.
Yeah. I found, like, in terms of the Bajorans, I found Ro Laren far more interesting than any of the Bajorans in DS9.
Who is that?
She's the Bajoran that turned up in
Ensign
TNG
Rowe,
towards the end.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that was her name. Yeah, Ensign Rowe. She was great.
Yeah, because she was originally going to be in Deep Space Nine.
She was going to be Kira.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. Although actually, I don't know if I liked her or if I just liked her sexual tension with Riker. Hard to tell.
Oh yeah, they had sex, didn't they, in the episode where they lost their memories?
Yeah.
And it was awkward because they realised they remembered they hated each other.
Yeah, that was nice. It was like the perfect sci-fi incorporation of that sexual tension dynamic, where they've got this will they won't they thing, and they hate each other but they like each other, and then you use this sci-fi element to mix up that relationship and change things. Maybe one day we'll do a TNG stream where Mr. Poe and I will watch all of the TNG episodes again. After we already did that like years ago. Although actually I watched a lot of them on my own.
Yeah, it wasn't a consistent rewatch like we did Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I mean Deep Space Nine, it's made for it. TNG you can just dot without; it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we ever watch Voyager or Enterprise, then maybe we'll get you guys back if you've ever seen them.
Yeah, cool. I'm halfway through Voyager at the moment. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, you like it? I always thought I didn't. It was always on TV when I came back from school, so I watched a fair bit of it then. But then when I went to TNG, I realized that TNG was a lot better, and I kind of always assumed that Voyager was the kind of unwanted stepchild. But
Redhead stepchild, I think is the phrase.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Voyager gets quite a bad rap, really. I like Voyager because it's got a lot of darker parts to it. I think Janeway is a really cool captain. She's probably my favorite captain.
You remember what was that film called with Kate Mulgrew in it, where that man gives her an orgasm by touching her on the shoulder?
Yeah.
What's that called?
No.
Sam Williams. What's it called?
Remo Williams, The Legend Continues, or something.
Yeah.
That's Kino.
That's a random. That was a very random tangent, but Kate Mulgrew was in it, looking very hot, by the way.
Yeah.
She's like a really sweet little 20-something. And Mr. Poe brought that film on his phone to the hospital when I'd just given birth to our baby, and we watched it on the hospital bed. There's a little picture I took with you with the baby. He's like holding this like tiny newborn baby, and the phone is like held open on the thing. It's just we're watching this really dumb film, and I'm exhausted, so I keep falling asleep. It took us like 4 sittings to watch the whole thing.
It's a good film to watch, though.
Yeah, I don't remember anything except for the
Korean racist in there.
Oh no!
Remember, there's it's meta because there's an American man playing a Korean in pure. Yeah, pure. As you'd imagine.
He's got tipped up.
Yeah,
tipped up eyes.
But the character is extremely racist towards anyone that isn't Korean, specifically against Americans.
Yeah, I remember cringing at that, but anyway, that is a big tangent. But I guess I'm just trying to wrap up the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone who watched this. If you didn't watch Deep Space Nine, you can't possibly have got anything out of it. But if you liked it as much as we did, then I hope you had a good time, because I certainly did. This is exactly what I wanted, is just to run over all the fun stuff. It's like just to relive it in the space of 2 hours. I know it's been a while. I mean, it's been a long stream. So thank you very much to our guests for sticking with me, especially Jenny Benevolent, who got up at 5 a.m. to be here.
I hope it was worth it.
Yeah, no. Just before we wrap it up, you had that list earlier of continuity in the show. Did you guys have a list of anything or favorite things that they had and just dropped off altogether?
Yeah.
For me, it's the Klingon restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Was that one episode, or was that more of an element?
I think, like, for the first 2 seasons, that was the one place that they would go other than Quark's, or at least they would say they would go to it, and it was the only other business on the promenade.
Yeah,
and then as soon as Raktatino was introduced, that guy was kicked off the station.
Yeah, is that where they had the singing Klingon waiter?
Yeah. That was just, like, Dax would go there because she was like a big Klingon weeb.
Yeah. That wasn't the song he was singing, but that's always what I think of when thinking of the Klingon songs. That's great. Yeah, thanks for that reminder. Oops, I hope I'm still streaming because I just minimized the window. All right, you saw that, good. Anything like that. Have you got any more on your list, Mr. Benevolent?
Oh no, that was the one that stood out. I only thought of it when we went through the list of continuity, and that one just sprung to mind because I always wondered what happened to that guy.
Maybe he went off to fight in the wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Klingons, the Klingons were fighting against them.
Yeah. They made it like it. I don't know where the honor thing gets in when you're a chef in a Klingon restaurant. Like, is that like,
That's the thing about all of the races in Star Trek, where they're like, okay, this makes sense in the context of a battleship, but where are all the like Klingon tailors and the Klingon bureaucrats? Like, you got to have those people to make it like your society function.
they just have slaves or something?
Yeah, like what are all the Klingon women doing with their time? Yeah, I think the restaurant kind of fleshes out that.
And the thing is, it's not as like they did drop like the orbs, kind of. The orbs were a big part of the early seasons.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, they kept them, but they never really like. What were the orbs? Why were the prophets like dumping out orbs onto Bajor?
It's what they call a MacGuffin.
But they weren't even a MacGuffin for most of the time. They were just like a thing, like a mysterious thing that pumped these orbs out, the orb of wisdom, the orb of doing a poo or whatever. And you know, what were the prophets doing with those orbs? Did they accidentally drop them out? Were they like prophet turds?
They were made by the prop department. I always wondered if they had one prop for all the orbs, or if there were ever more than one orb props.
They used one of the orbs to time travel back in time.
Yeah,
right. That was
yeah.
an episode where Kira time travels back in time to watch her mum get fucked by Gul Dukat. So Gul Dukat phones her up one day and he phones up Kira.
He calls her.
He calls her, guess what? I fucked your mum. And then Kira goes, no way, I'm going to time travel back in time to see what he did. And she does, and he did. That's it.
It's such a stupid use of time travel. And she has to go to Cisco to ask for permission to use the orb. And she goes, it's very important.
Gul Dukat called me up and said, you fucked my mum. That can't be true. Can I time travel?
He was just epic trolling me.
Like, it's not set up at all ever. Like, he never mentioned it
No, he
previously.
does have a fetish for Bajoran women.
Yeah, but like, he's met Kira dozens of times before then.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he never mentions or alludes to it, and then he just out of the blue. He doesn't even come back in the episode apart from in the actual flashback.
Yeah, right.
He just goes like, by the way,
I really got to get this off my chest.
Bye bye.
Yeah, epic troll. Yeah, that was great. I mean, it wasn't great. It was like it was really weird, but yeah, it was great to have a random thing like that happen. But yeah, there was a time traveling orb, and they never used it except for it's kind of like the time turners in Harry Potter. Like the existence of it kind of undermines.
Well, at least in Harry Potter they destroyed all the time turners, but
off screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Unless you got more, Jenny Benevolent.
No, I'm good.
Oh, Saffron, you got anything random, anything at all?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, I think we did pretty well to cover 7 seasons of the show. So we completely rinsed it thoroughly, in my opinion, in 2.5 hours. Although we didn't say Alan Moraine, count to 4, Alan Moraine, then 3 more. It's only 1 episode, and yet that little rhyme gets into my head every time.
That's why it's a classic.
Alan Moraine, come with me. Alan Moraine, then you'll see. Alan Moraine, count to 4.
Okay.
We'll end it. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, thanks everyone. It was great. We'll have to do this again sometime for a different show. Or maybe we'll just talk about Deep Space Nine all over again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'll see you guys.
A good time. Have a good night, everyone.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye to chat.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys.